Hello everyone, welcome to the Boleyn Lounge and another Tuesday talk show. Well, we've had a week off on this channel and there's quite a lot happened in that week, not least Mickey's dreadful accident on Saturday. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to send out the message that we're so pleased to hear that he's well and recovering and successful operation. And just join the thousands of others that have sent messages of goodwill and just say, get well soon, Mickey. And I'll move on from there and just say welcome to everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining us here this evening. And welcome to my panel, Budgie and Tony. Welcome to both of you. Nice to see you back in the lounge again.
Thank you very much, mate. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. It's always nice to be here.
And good evening to everyone in the chat. Thanks for being with us as well. As you know, this is a multi-stream. Jeff's channel, obviously, Budgie with Green Street Elites and mine with Early Doors Football TV. Make sure we actually give a like on all three channels, please. Be much appreciated.
I've actually put that into my chat.
I see it as well.
Okay, so obviously moving on from all of that stuff at the start of the show and back to the football. And well, we lost to Arsenal since we were last on this channel, and Leicester, and we rather unconvincingly beat Wolves, I felt, last night. But relieved and pleased at the 3 points. Just felt it was a little bit of a tepid performance, and I was expecting a little bit more, but looked like two poor sides to me, really. And we just edged it. But I know you were there, Budgie, so I'd really be interested to hear your perspective on the game.
Well, the game itself, I felt, was quite underwhelming, I've got to be honest. You know, as I sort of said backstage, there were a few moments where I felt that the crowd, you know, were together, but then, you know, you would expect it in those moments, you know, like the 4 times the ball went into the back of the net. Okay, so 2 of those were disallowed. And also on the 2 occasions at the beginning of the match and on the 9th minute when we were paying tribute to Mickey and showing our solidarity behind him, which, you know, that's quite a proud moment for me. I mean, I've witnessed 2 rather emotional games now. You know, the Man City when we drew 2-2, Mark Noble's last ever home game, and now this one as a tribute to Mickey. And I have to say, you know, last night, you know, that atmosphere was quite somber, you know, and I think it was maybe because, you know, the tributes to Mickey were quite early on in the match, other than the personal ones from the player. You know, from players.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a somber atmosphere most of the time. You know, quite reasonably quiet for a West Ham crowd, I've got to say.
I think it was good though, and it was even when we scored the goals. You know, the little shirt they had there, bring it out with Antonio's name on there, and it was quite a fitting tribute as well. And by all accounts, and before the game kicked off, Antonio actually gave the boys a call. And,
video call,
you know, give it for me kind of thing, and it was good in that respect. Evening, Colin. I mean, it's good in that, and that just shows you what we're like, really. You know, we still look after each other regardless of what's going on with the club at this stage.
Yeah,
Steve,
and that was kind of that was kind of like the opposite of what a lot of the pundits were saying over the last few days about the club, that there is no solidarity, that there's no cohesion in the club, and that, you know, everyone's playing for themselves, or a majority are. And, you know, Mickey making that call, and everybody that's been interviewed has made reference to that call, including Lopetegui. You know, they've all made reference to that call. So it just goes to show you there is solidarity there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it be strong enough to get us out of the situation we're finding ourselves in or not remains to be seen. But, you know, and it's great that other clubs have come out and, you know, passed on their best wishes to Antonio.
I mean, I've had some people on you know, on my community page that have actually kind of sent messages wishing him all the best and all that kind of stuff. So that's nice. As you said, football is football at the end of the day. But when it comes to things like this, that's when it kind of really pulls people together, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And we're getting back to the game itself. And I was listening to the commentary, and about 20 odd minutes in, the commentator said it's end to end kind of game, and I thought it's end to end to no product. That's what it was. And literally within a few minutes of that, ball came in just over Strand Larsen's head, and I think it was Gomez missed that chance on the far post that looked easier to score. And a couple of minutes later, Mavropanos watched a volley onto his foot as he's falling backwards and fires it into the crowd. And I thought that just about sums up the game, right? The chances were created, but no one really grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and took those chances. Eventually got the goal with Souček. Great header from Souček, by the way. I don't know if he's trying to score or if he's just trying to put it back across the. Either way, great stuff from Souček.
Beautifully controlled header.
I don't know. To me, Budge, I thought he had his eyes closed myself, but you know, hey, if he scores, happy days.
Nice celebration, running to the camera and making the 9 with his fingers and all of that. And his interview afterwards, going about the call and saying how good spirits that Mickey in was so encouraging. And their goal, I mean, we probably should do better, but they just turned us running towards our own goal, and we were just vulnerable then. And he met it really well, didn't he?
He did.
And
I don't know if you could use their Budge. Sorry, Jeff. I mean, you know, up there. What I saw for the first 20 minutes, as much as we were losing the ball, we were kind of, well, both teams were really quite defensive. Every time you know we went on the counter or they did, you virtually saw 10 players back.
It was
both teams were like that.
It was. It was kind of like running into a wall. But you know, one of the points that somebody made in a chat somewhere over the last couple of days is that Wan-Bissaka, in fact, I'll tell you who it was. I believe it was Stell that mentioned it, actually. But, you know, Wan-Bissaka and Emerson are breaking forward at the same time, you know, every time, and leaving us exposed with only 2 at the back, which is a fair point. You know, that is a fair point. But last night, what I did see was Alvarez tracking back, and actually so did Souček. You know, I mean, Souček was quite a regular visitor to his own box last night, which was quite encouraging. But, you know, as I said, it was quite a mediocre game, you know, by any standards. It wasn't
by a great goal from Boleyn, it has to be said.
But you expect nothing less from him, though, do you, really?
It was I mean, what a moment of quality that was. All that said, though, if you're in any way connected to Wolves, if you're Gary O'Neill, one of those players, or a fan of Wolverhampton, you've got to feel pretty hard done by, haven't you? I mean, the corner we score from's not a corner. Do you know what? Those things happen in football, and the corner's given, and you've got to defend from the corner. And if you don't defend, you get punished. That's your lookout. Don't have too much sympathy on that front. I think they're a bit unlucky that it's not a goal kick, but they don't defend properly. They concede the goal. That's their fault. But how they didn't get at least one penalty out of that game is beyond me. But James, I don't know how long you were in the green room, James, because I've expanded my screen a bit, so I don't see the bottom of the screen. So I only just saw you there. So
no worries, mate. I was there for about half hour as well.
Oh, right.
He's baked himself a cookie.
Hello, mate. I've got a coffee, digestives, everything, mate. I was waiting for
slippers, the works.
I was waiting for
so anyway, what anything you'd like to add? Your observations on the game, mate?
It's a win. That's anything I can say, really. It's just a win, isn't it? Like but you got to start somewhere. It's like I said last night on E20. You got to start somewhere. Like, do you know what I mean? We can't keep thinking we're just going to turn up and turn into prime Brazil all of a sudden. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a win. I think the next game now will show where we're all at. Like, if we go to Bournemouth and then we fold again, then you're going to have a problem. Shout out to Keith. But for me, last night was about the team. Mikel Antonio and all, making sure he see a victory for us. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's about, really. I really don't understand this fan base at the minute. I really don't. I'm a bit lost where people are wanting us to lose for the manager to go, but they don't realise that if we lose, he ain't going anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make a lot of sense, because I'm going to be honest, Sullivan ain't sacking him, mate. Otherwise, he would have done already, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
We're 9 points clear of the bottom three now.
Yeah.
And if you look at the fixtures this weekend, the teams down there are either unlikely to pick up points or to take points off of each other. So even if we lose at Bournemouth, I think probably not much changes there, and we probably maintain that gap. And as far as Sullivan's concerned, that's probably enough, right?
100%, mate. Like, I'm not being funny. Like, people used to slag Moyes off and say that Moyes had about 100 chances to get the sack. Right? He ain't gonna. He's not going to sack Lopetegui just yet. Right? I'm not convinced on it at all. If we go and lose the next 3 games 4-0, it might be a different story. But not yet for me.
And this is what happened. We got taken apart by Arsenal. I thought we played actually in the main reasonably well at Leicester. Got exposed a little bit in our vulnerable places, and they punished us. I do think if Souček's goal that's disallowed is a goal, we'd probably go on and win that game. I think that we've got the momentum and it's going that way. And they pretty much go up and go 2-0, just near enough straight after that. And I think that changes the game a lot. But I don't think we're in any position after last night. Manchester United, probably another few incidents that we can name this season. VAR has been pretty kind to us this year. So I don't think we can bemoan that too much, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, that does make a change from every other season, though, Jeff, where we've been sort of critical of VAR because it's not been favourable to the teams like ourselves, in and around ourselves.
I do agree, but I don't think we can deny it this year.
No, but the thing is, it just seems, though, that although VAR hasn't got any more efficient, it does seem to be working fairer.
Not for Wolves.
In some respects.
Because they seem to be on the end of a lot of wrong decisions, don't they? I mean, you think, Jesus Christ, what have they done? Who have they upset?
Yeah.
Someone in St George's Park, 100%.
It's a couple of years, isn't it? They've been getting like really done over.
That's the old problem, though. Evening, Rob. When you're down that bottom end of the table, and that luck's not in your favour whatsoever. I think you can have all the rabbit's foots and 4-leaf clovers around your dressing room, and that ain't going to make a blind bit of difference because Lady Luck is not shining on that club at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've come to this comment. I haven't read it all, but Ian says I went last night, happy with one, but two poor teams. What
Yeah.
really worries me was the empty seats and sense of indifference in the crowd. We're all so fed up that the club is being diluted in many ways. It's hard to argue with anything that Ian said
I've got
there.
to be honest,
You
I had a
alluded to
choice
that.
of about 20 seats I could have sat in last night around me.
Really? Is that bad?
Yeah,
Jesus.
it was terrible. I mean, in fact, my seat number was right next to another guy, and I was sitting 4 seats away from him. And like I was with Andy, my mate Andy, and his daughter, and they were in seats like next to me, kind of thing. But there was a seat between me and his daughter, and there was about 4 seats past them.
Wow.
So, you know, there was loads of empty seats last night, loads. But it did look like a big crowd. You know, it's probably somewhere in the high 30s or low 40s. But, you know, there were a lot of empty seats in every stand other than the away end, which was full of capacity.
The reason why it's going to be like that is because people have had enough of the situation, and basically you got people who are rival fans in the home end. Yeah, if it's like this now, what's it going to be like in 5 years when all the hardcore decide to?
I agree completely.
Well, when the hardcore walk away,
people calling for boycotts doesn't help either, though, does it, James?
I think you've got to remember it's Monday night. It's on telly. It's a couple of weeks before Christmas, right next to that shopping centre. And so
you thought it would have been packed then, Jeff. You know, the old man sitting in the stadium there while the wife's shopping in Westfield.
Well, you know, maybe, but I think there's a lot of people get put off of that and think, fuck that. I'll just stay at home and watch it on the telly.
You know, plus
I don't need to spend that. I don't need to spend all that money, right, on a ticket. Yeah, fight my way through Westfield. Yeah, to watch what's getting dished up, right?
Yeah,
couple of weeks before, like it's on telly. Like, I just think there's an easy option for people.
I don't know, Jeff, if I'm honest, because I can understand it on the 21st of December when it's right on top of Christmas. I could get that one, but not the beginning part, not like the 9th of December. I wouldn't really think it would make any difference. I think what it is, people have had enough of the manager, people have had enough of the owners, people have had enough of the extortionate ticket prices that they're paying, and what it is, it's building up to sort of implode to a point with the fan base. Like people are walking away rather than staying. And my worry is, and I was told this by a gentleman years ago, he said when Sullivan makes it into a franchise, he ain't gonna need the old hardcore fans there anymore, because what he'll do, he will flog the tickets to anyone. And basically
goes anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the thing is, them tickets already bought and paid for. All the missing seats that was there yesterday, they're all bought and paid for.
Yeah, exactly.
Once they walk away, they'll be handed to someone else. It's a shame, but it's just a fact of reality, mate. Really, of where it's going.
Right, you're right. And you talk about boycott. I mean, I'm kind of conducting my own boycott in my own way. I haven't gone this season, partly by design. Ipswich was going to be a kids for a quid game, and we had the grandchildren down, so I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll take them. Yeah. When I went, the kids' tickets were £15 each, right? So I'm like, well, that ain't kids for a quid, is it? So I suppose they sold their allocation, and then whatever they were selling beyond that weren't for a quid. I thought, I'm not doing that. So that just reinforced my self-imposed boycott this year so far. I'm not saying I'll stick to it. I'm not saying I won't go to a game this year, but at the moment I'm kind of doing that, but I'm not telling anyone else whether they should or whether they shouldn't. I'm doing it for my own reasons, my own motivation, and I'll keep it up for
this season.
Yeah, I'll keep it up for as long as I'm prepared to keep it up for, until I end up going. But in the meantime, not that motivated to go, and I'm not happy with the ownership. I'm not happy with what they're doing about all the concessions, and I think it's absolutely disgusting. I think it's a shame that there's so much apathy amongst our match-going fan base about it. But it is what it is. What can you do?
Yeah, but what they're doing, Jeff, is they're outpricing real West Ham fans. That's what they're doing. They're outpricing us. You know.
But we've got more season ticket holders than we have signatories to the petition against it. So that tells you really there's not enough motivation between our fan base, is there?
The worst thing that happened was moving into that stadium, and I'll tell you the reason why. Is because now he don't need the sort of regular 35,000. Where he's got 65,000, he can fill that with anyone. Yeah, we've seen it over the years where, like, we only see it last weekend or the other weekend with Arsenal fans in the home end. Now, like that's a wake up call within a wake up call. If you've got Arsenal fans in the Bobby Moore lower, yeah, you would never dream of doing that back in the day at Upton Park ever.
No.
And that's where it's going to a point.
Not overtly, anyway.
And the thing is, if they really wanted to sort it out, they could stop it like that and go, right, you don't have no away shirts in the home end. You have a neutral area in the ground, whether it's up high or whatever, and that's where it is. He won't do that because he treats everyone like a customer. And that's what it is. It's on a custom-based thing. It's first come, first serve, and that's where the problem is, mate, if I'm honest. It's a shame. I am worried. I'm going to be honest. I look at it, and even though I don't go to games and I haven't been for 9 years, yeah, I look at the sort of younger fans who are the next generation coming through. I don't think they're going to stick at it, if I'm being honest. And I think you're just going to have a lot of, like...
TV fans, if you like.
Yeah.
That's what they'll end up being, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because they won't need it. And that's where I am a bit concerned by that. You have the people who will go religiously. I mean, like morning, noon, and night. They'll be there.
Yeah.
But then you're going to have the people who are their sons or their daughters who are going to go and then going to get married, have kids, and then drift away. And that's what it'll be, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I suppose being planted next to an international station and that, as you said, the world and his wife can come along, and just come into the stadium, can't they?
Yeah, it's well, this is what I've been saying for the last year. Like, if I'm being honest about everything, like the owner needs to look after the fans. He doesn't. Going on the football basis, he's even mugging the fans off now by keeping Lopetegui saying if he has to win a game, he stays. If he don't win a game, he's out. It's just a carry on, mate. It's gone full circle now.
He knows the knock-on effect, James, doesn't he? You know, if he puts that threat out there, that either the boys are going to stick up for the manager, or it's a case of we're just going to turn things over, and that's where we're going to be. You know, it's one of those, isn't it?
It was one of the most blatantest wins yesterday. Like, even a few of my mates said it. Right, every time we need to win a game, in a must-win game, we do it every single time. Like, and it was it's just unreal, really. Like, and there's people yesterday. This is one thing I will say. What really did irritate me yesterday was even on the afterthought. Right, people saying, "Oh, I wanted us to lose that so we can go."
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, but you know what it is, Jeff. Yeah, they think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
and it would have happened. Listen, if there would have been a game to sack him, Leicester game would have been the one because we got. Fair enough. I heard what you said earlier about we had loads of chances, but we're 2 minutes in, we're 1-0 down, we're chasing the game. Do you know what I'm saying? It was. Like that'd be the one you do it, not now. Do you know what I mean? You don't sack him after a win. Do you know what I mean? But saying that, Sullivan, that's something he ain't done ever, is it? You know what I mean? So, you never know. I'm going to say on that. You might sack him. It could happen, but that's the problem. Like, it always has been, always will be, and until he goes, mate, nothing's going to change.
Well, there's a couple of comments. Nick's asking about his letter to Santa, which I'll come to in a moment. But I just wanted to deal with Ian's comment here, just the end of it. He said Bowen was excellent and he's better on the right wing. But he also stepped up as captain in the scrap at the end. What did everyone make of that? Were you at the end, Budgie? Did you see that while you were in the stadium?
Yeah, I was actually literally just about to get out of my seat. And Andy pointed across at the pitch and went, "Here, have a look at that." And I turned, and it was all kicking off. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know the details of what happened either. I don't know what it was about.
I think it's something to do with the penalty decision. I mean, Lamina was going a bit doolally at the referee and that, and then Bowen kind of sat out with Bowen, and then they were scrapping and pushing each other. I think they rolled around the ground at one point. Then it all kind of like they pushed Bowen away. Everyone was trying to push Lamina over this way. Even one of the Wolves coaches, and Lamina put his head into him.
He was going off at everyone, wasn't he? He completely lost it.
That's an easy one for me. And that, you're in the reserves now, son, doing that to your own coaching staff. But
madness.
Being upset, fair enough. But
to
kick off like that.
Am I correct in saying?
Sorry, bud.
Bowen got a yellow.
Yeah, no, they both did. Yeah, they both did. Dissent at the end of the day, so it's a yellow card straight off.
Yeah.
Lamina went absolutely crazy, didn't he? I don't know what he was. He
thinking. Just saw red mist. I mean, what was that? 5 to 6 minutes. It carried on like that.
Going at his teammates. He was going at the coaching staff. He was going at everyone.
Jeez.
Debo was walking off with his arm. He was about the only one he wanted ever to go at.
Yeah. Mind you, he's a big lump, wasn't he?
Should have had Debo there.
When they said that, because that's the first thing I thought of, James. Yeah,
I'm not sure anyone's going to ever go out to Debo, to be fair. He's a
I was thinking you had some practice with Lopetegui. Go for Lamina.
Box office seats at the London Stadium. Debo versus the world.
Anyway, coming to Nick's comment, he says he wrote on his letter to Santa that he wants Loppy gone. Will Santa give it to him for Christmas? Well, I think I know my answer, but what does everyone else think?
Don't write to Santa, write to Sullivan. Santa ain't going to deliver. Sullivan saying that, but it is what it is. But it ain't going to happen, mate. Ain't going to happen. I am quite. Do you know what? Am I surprised? Not really, if I'm honest. Like we all know it that there's been chances with managers in the past where they've had last chance saloons and they've managed to pull it at their arse to a point, and it's another one like that. The only issue is now is it leaves us in a bit of limbo because we've got a manager that's just won a game, fans are not on the side. If he goes, for instance, goes unbeaten in the next 2 games, then what? Then we've got we're in a bit of a limbo, aren't we? To a point.
There is that, but I don't know if even from the beginning when he walked out from the tunnel, Lopetegui's face just literally showed, he's defeated. He tried to rally on the pitch, but his face just says he's drained. What offer can he offer? And at the moment, it's not looking good. So it is literally, unfortunately, rinse and repeat. Win a game, he sticks on for another week. Wins the next game, stays on for another week.
Yeah, but who do you blame for that, though, Tone? Because I look at him. I don't look at him as that. It's got to go out of his hands, isn't it? Surely.
It will be. I think at this stage, it definitely is. I mean, not being funny, the old statement, even a blind man can see it. That
I agree.
The way the team's playing, the way the disharmony. I mean, Budgie's saying, the spaces in between seats. As a chairman, as much as you mentioned that he's not caring about what comes in, when you're seeing empty seats like that, as much as it might be painful, that's televised. People, not just West Ham fans are watching this, not even just Wolves fans, the neutrals watching this, and that just kind of shows.
It's a worldwide presentation, so all the tourists are watching it.
It's putting us in the wrong light, Budge. That's the worst part about it.
Exactly
it's just the disarming that this club's got currently, and Sullivan's got to hold his hand and say, "Yep, that's my doing." But as you know, this man's too stubborn to turn around and do that.
No. The thing is, he's already got his excuse lined up, hasn't he? Christmas. That's the first thing he'll say. Do you know what I mean? He'll say it's a Monday night, like Jeff said earlier on. Monday night, Christmas. People are going to work. You know what? We're going to give it a miss tonight. I watch it on the telly. If it's like that against Brighton at home on the 21st of December, then it's a completely different scenario altogether because it's a Saturday 3:00.
Yeah.
But it's the problem is it's gone on way too long. One thing I will say that does really irritate me, is that last season there was GSB banners out for Moyes to get him out the door. I understand it. People want him out the door, right? Fair enough. But where are these GSB banners now? Because like, if you're going to stick with something, you've got to stick with it all the way through. You don't stick with it until you get what you want and then back away. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just think the fan base is a bit mixed, if I'm being honest, with everything. Like with manager, with owner, with players, everything.
It's pretty united in its hatred. That's quite a strong word, I guess. Dislike of Sullivan on the board, I think, isn't it?
I would say yeah, but you and me both know, Jeff, they don't stick to it enough. Like that's the problem. But with the concessions situation currently right now,
yeah,
surely people would be going, right, that banner's got to be out every away game.
I can't believe that the fan base have not really united and got behind this, especially who it's targeting.
Yeah.
I think the problem on that, Jeff, there was a point, I think it was a couple of months ago, there was some statement from the club. They are letting up a little bit on the concession prices, and know that maybe certain people thinking, well, they've said something, and they said that they're going to not go the full hog in the way they're going to completely dismiss the concessions, and probably people think, well, I'm happy with that, and just put the banners away. Let's just carry on.
That is how they operate, in it, all the time.
And also to add to that, there are people that have had sanctions put on their season tickets.
Interesting, that budge, isn't it?
Being outspoken. I know one. I was on the train with him last night, and you know, he was. I'm not going to mention his name, obviously, but he was sanctioned for quite a long time for being outspoken, and then was invited into the London Stadium when he was applying to have his sanctions lifted, and they invited him into the stadium thing to apologise to him for being so heavy-handed with their sanction.
So-called freedom of speech.
Exactly.
There ain't none, mate.
So what was he sanctioned for, Budgie, or can you not really say? Does it?
I can't really give too many details.
Yeah, because
I don't want to identify the man.
Yeah, I understand. Fair enough. Fair comment. We'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose the best way to sum up, Jeff, is, was it bringing the club into ill disrepute? That's all they're going to say.
Well, I think what it was is he was exposing truths.
Yeah.
It seems like people hate the truth at the minute. I'm saying that's why on E20 I don't really give a shit what I say. Because
as you mentioned that, James, I thought myself, hold on, he ain't been to the stadium for. Is it can't be James?
Mate, I'll probably be in prison, mate, by the time I get there. You know what I mean? No, what it is, don't get me wrong. I respect the people who are saying the truths, because I'm gonna be straight. Right, some people live on a lie with this club, and they say stuff to get the fan base up and going, and when it all falls apart, they backtrack. Like I go. The thing is that with Sullivan, he's got it locked down at DLS. Anyone who pulls a banner out of ill intent towards the ownership, they get their season ticket revoked. So that's not a good thing straight away. But away from them, they can't do nothing. Yeah. So I just feel if you are on this, and like it ain't just ticket prices. It's the manager, right? Also, the manager's wrong from the start, and it's just everything about it this season so far has been a bit flat, isn't it? Really, if I'm honest.
Yeah. It is,
yeah. I mean, it's got so bad within the concessions argument. The argument surrounding concessions pricing and shirt prices and stuff like that. Or merchandising, if you prefer, but there's so many different angles that people are looking at it and like you're not actually getting a clear picture of what really is going on, because sometimes people are saying David Sullivan is trying to tie up loose ends so that he can sell up. Other people are saying that he's reluctant to put money in because of the amount of money that he's already put in. He wants to see some return on his investment. And there's also people saying that the reason the pricing of like merchandise and that has gone up is to subsidise David Sullivan You know, there are so many different arguments surrounding all of that.
Mm.
You know, I find it really difficult to get involved in one of them conversations because I've got so many different arguments going on up here. I don't know what the bloody truth is. I don't think any of us do.
I don't think he's trying to get money back. Like, was it you said the second one you said about trying to get
money back off of merchandising and stuff?
Yeah, because I think what it is, he was always going to earn that anyway. Yeah. For me, when I look at David Sullivan's 14 years at West Ham, the training ground is still the same. The ground isn't even as. Yeah, we rent it, right? He's took all the local businesses away, right? It's one company now. Someone told me that on E20 the other day. Jay told me that on E20 that it's one company that does all the catering, right? And that's it. And they're not even from the area.
It's one company that holds a franchise.
Yeah.
So and all of those pay their little bit of rent to him or whatever.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, when you sort of add it all up, right? All he's done is put money in for squad players, and even that, right? We've sold Declan Rice for 100 million. We've been in Europe 3 years out of the last 4 or last 5, including this year. So you know, when you go through it, it's Sullivan's waiting to sell. Right? That's why I've got a feeling when he's doing these 2-year deals, he's trying to get to that bracket where he can go, right, I'm going to sell up in 2 years and I haven't got to pay out for another manager, right? Because giving Lopetegui a 2-year deal just tells you all you need to know. Really. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it just doesn't make no sense. It ain't a project.
There was a new development at the stadium that I haven't seen before. Okay, this is my first time this season, but there are actually vending machines for beer around the stadium now.
Mm.
Interesting.
Which is good because where we were, it was out of order. So the queues are still long anyway. So it's great. Really helps the situation, you know. We've just got more people cursing the machine now and it's just really funny.
How much were they charging for them though? But actually see what the price was.
Same price, mate. £8.50.
Ah, yeah, no, man.
£8.50. It's mad.
I know. And yet, outside of the main concourse, so you go, you know, you got the concourse outside with all the little, you know, the
stalls, all the stands and whatnot. Yeah.
And the Heineken bar and stuff. Well, 2 units to the right of the Heineken bar is another little bar, and I got 2 ham stalls for £12.85.
Aces.
Which I thought was pretty good. But then I said, well, where does the actual odd number come from? I had 2 pints of the same drink. How did it come to an odd number? It's impossible. There's no half pint.
That's tipping Sullivan, eh?
Yeah, that's a Sally tax.
That's Sally tax.
You have to read the small print on the price tag.
Yeah, so it was only £6, like 40 something outside.
But it was £2 actually, but the rest on top. You know what I mean? But you know, you got to. Listen, at the end of the day, you go there for a day, like for a day. Yeah, that's what it is. It's more of an event, isn't it? For a lot of people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, I actually, although I did go for the game, of course I did, which is, you know, a main motivator for going to a football match is to watch a football match. Yeah. But also, you know, I met up with a few of my friends there, you know, some that I haven't seen since last season, the end of, you know. And it was nice because it was a social event for me. I got to see a few of my pals, you know, from going to games. You know, I've only met them by going to games. So some of them.
That is part of the football experience, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Just you know, exactly what you've said.
Yeah. And, you know, we all know that, well, everyone that comes to the games, they want to meet up with me or they want to see me. I'm in Dartford Corner in the Carpenters with all the old school boys, you know, and Happy and Jeff and Andy and, you know, everybody come. We all go there, or not all, but, you know, a large number of people go there. And, you know, you get to know quite a few faces, don't you, Jeff? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
People come up to you and greet you like they've known you for 5 years, and really and truly, it's the first time you've met them. You know,
Got a question for you, Budge. I mean, we know Jeff's tall and that. What do you do? Stand about 20 foot away from the dartboard because any closer than that, he's touching it with his hands, isn't
didn't he? I was like, yeah, I've got a 180 this week, Jeff. He goes, yeah, I had 5 about half hour ago.
Thanks, Manny 180s.
Yeah. No, but he is tall. And do you know what? When I first met Jeff on screen, I actually pictured him as like, 5'6", 5'7", And then I actually went down and met you down at your place, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was just shocked at how tall he actually is. But I mean, what are you, about 6'4", aren't you?
No, I'm not 6'4", 6 foot.
No, you're taller than me. I'm 5'11" something.
He was 6'2", but that hang gliding accent didn't go. I thought I'd get that one in there. He only falls off his classics, you know what I mean? So,
to go ask everyone on the panel here, what everyone think about JB's, he's in dreamland here. He says, how about this? Carrick as manager, Nolan assistant, defence coach Rio, Noble as coach, and Dean Ashton as coach up top. Get Ludo in for goalkeeping coach.
Not Rio. Rest of them I'm good. Rio's all Man United related, isn't he?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not with Rio. None of it's happening. Well,
Anton.
maybe not none of it, by the way.
Anton, yeah.
Well, let me just say something, though. It is inevitable that Carrick will coach or manage West Ham at some point. It's inevitable. He will come to West Ham at some point. This is my personal opinion, but it's kind of, based on the fact that there's been a lot of talk about him. He's been talking about West Ham, saying that he doesn't think the time's right now. This was like last season, So, I think he's definitely in the frame for the job, and it's not beyond the wildest of imagination that he would come here. The only thing that worries me is buying him out of his contract. And we all know that Mr. Sullivan wants him for like 20 quid and a box of dildos.
I'm actually concerned that he might even get looked at by Spurs also. Because with Ange, the way it is with Ange at the minute, if they continue to play crap, they might go down that route. He's an ex-player of theirs, isn't he? And obviously, that's a worry.
Yeah.
I honestly, do you know what? I honestly don't know about the next manager. I really don't. I'm not. I couldn't sit here and say, right, he's the guy, because it just there's a lot of managers out there and head coaches that really do one good thing good, and then the rest of it ain't all that. Do you know what I mean? Carrick, I think Carrick is if you're going for a project, he's your guy. Like, he's your guy. A 4-year deal with him. Yeah, you know what you're going to get. But honestly, mate, Sullivan ain't buying no one out of a contract. He never does.
Yeah, looking beyond that, if he did get Carrick is also the sort of guy that a new owner might keep on.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think
so he would be there for a
project, if you know what I mean.
Does anyone know how expensive or inexpensive it would be to buy Carrick?
I've been told 8 million.
Yeah, I think it'd be like, I was going to say 5. 8 million.
Significant.
That would be even more appealing, James. You know what I mean? But I've heard a couple of mentions of 8 million from different people. But 5 sounds reasonable. I mean, to be fair, it's a championship club he's with.
Just a worry though, mate. If they get promoted this year, because he ain't coming in. That's the problem. If they go up this year, there's no chance. None.
Is he the safe pair of hands that they might be kind of looking towards if they're sacking Lopetegui for fear of relegation? Because that's where it comes down to, right?
Yeah, but Jeff, if they want to integrate the youth, who better? You got a man there who's done it.
They want to consolidate the fan base who better.
Yeah, it just feels
So
like
likeable.
yeah.
Well, just to interrupt you guys, I just looked up his thing. So he's signed a 3-year contract in the 3rd of June 2024.
Okay.
Wow.
So basically, he's got a good few years left on his
got
on his deal.
3 years basically on it. Well,
Yeah.
2.5 years.
See, the thing is that you got to look at it and go, right, what are you trying to achieve at West Ham? And if you're trying to achieve basically being content, then you keep Lopetegui. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though he's not the right man, or you go for Potter, yeah, and you go, right, Potter will get you to what, 10th maybe at best, and then you go from there. Like, if you want to go for Carrick, if you was to be honest with the fan base and turn around and say to them, right, this is the plan, right? We get him in. He's got a year to sort of integrate the youth into the side. The first year is a 3-year, and then you start building towards your end goal. Then I think every supporter will be on that. I would find it very hard to find people who would not back an ex-player and believe in being told what the project is and believing in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, I could see him being approached if, God forbid, if we did get relegated this season, I could see him being approached to get us up because he is the man that would do that. He's almost done it with, Middlesbrough, but with a better club, better players, I'm not saying that we'd be able to keep all the players that we've got.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we get relegated, have we got better players? Who stays, and then who do we attract? Because there's a big exodus of big names if we get relegated, right?
Yeah, half a dozen names easily.
There's a huge opportunity for the younger generation that are seemingly so good. They're down a tier down, right? It's a chance to prove themselves and maybe have a season of glory, right? And launch their careers into the Premier League. So that makes it sound like it might be a good thing to get relegated when you paint it like that. And I don't think that at all. But it might be an opportunity
but
for you,
every
something
cloud
like
has
that.
a silver lining, don't it, Jeff? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think West Ham are going to get relegated now.
Nor do I.
Right. After last night being 9 points, to get relegated, that's a crime. From that position. And
when we look at Leicester, Wolves, Southampton,
9 points.
Everton, you look at them. I mean,
yeah. If we'd have lost yesterday, different scenario altogether. Because then you would have been worried. You've been very nervous and think, you know what?
And then we'd have lost against Bournemouth and lost at Brighton. We'd have been dragged right down into it. But winning last night gave us a little bit of breathing space. You're still looking over your shoulder, aren't you? We're not looking and going. Everyone's saying, "Oh, we're 2 points off of Tottenham, who are having a dreadful season, right?" Yeah, and a point behind Man United and 6 points off of Europe or whatever. But I'm not really looking that way. I'm looking over my shoulder.
Where are we actually in the league now after that?
Still 14th. We haven't moved anywhere. Still 14th. We've reduced that goal difference to -8 goal difference. So
we've moved a bit closer to those above us, haven't we?
And we've not played everybody in the league yet either.
No. So I think Jeff summed it up. I think we've given ourselves a little bit of a breathing space at the moment, but how tight this table is at the moment, all it takes is to us to suddenly stagnate again, which we know that's obviously possible with this team at the moment. And them teams below in that, because not being funny, even though they're losing, you're seeing a bit of a fight from Southampton, and it's only going to be a moment, if we're not too careful, that Saints going to click. Not saying they're going to get themselves out of it, but it changes the dynamics of the table. So we've got to
lose the next two and stumble to a draw against Southampton going into Liverpool City and all that over Christmas and that, into the new year, right? We're bang in trouble, right? So we've got a bit of breathing space just now, but it's definitely nothing to be taken for granted.
No.
Then you can look at it another way, that if we go and beat Bournemouth, which we are capable of doing, we can beat Bournemouth. It changes the dynamics straight away. We're right up. I think we're 10th.
Beat Bournemouth, draw Brighton, beat Southampton, All right, suddenly get 7 out of the next 3. It changes our trajectory. But do you know what? It seems like every few weeks on this show on a Tuesday we go, the next 3 games are going to define where our season goes. And the next 3 games, and I think the last 3 games have kind of defined where our season's at. And our season was sort of going to be around mid-table, and we could get dragged into relegation if we're not careful.
Well, look, Trini M has just put there, we're 7 points off a 5th. That just shows you how it could easily change around.
Yeah. And the thing is, people said to me at the start of the season, we're going to finish mid-table. So where we are really is where people think that was going to finish in the first place. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just the football is a bit weird from Lopetegui. We're playing these wingers or fullbacks, and it just we've got a midfield that don't exist. Like some of our players, like last night, Paqueta comes on for half hour, just does nothing.
Sticks the place out.
And he disgusted me last night. Alvarez, I'm one of Alvarez's biggest backers, but last night I was like, come on, mate. Like you're playing with fire in the middle of the park. You're getting dispossessed in the middle of Stratford, and they're countering us, and you're struggling to get back. And even Mo, I'm going to say this.
He had a poor game.
Yeah, especially in the first half time. I agree with you 100%.
Mate, he was awful.
I think
second half he was
better. He picks up a little bit better. I agree on that. But the first half, when you look at him, how he was dispossessed off the balls, or he was holding on to the ball and then trying to receive the ball back again.
Completely agree, mate. Yeah,
it's like what you're doing.
And it was always split seconds every time. It was like they get the ball and you're thinking pass, and they're holding it too long, and it's
it's too slow.
And it was like, come on, right? You've got to pass the ball a bit sharper. And if you're playing a possession-based game, right, you've got to play a bit of 1 touch or even 2 touch. Well, we're still having 3 or 4 touches, and teams are sort of getting into position before they do it.
For me, last night was crying out for a classic Fornals or a classic Lanzini. Someone that would just make a spark. You know what I mean? Start something.
Well, Budge, would you agree on this? And I'll ask you guys as well, and the chat. Do you think it was right bringing on Ings, or should he bring on Fulkrug?
I think it was right to bring on Ings.
Oh, he was awful, Budge. From what I saw of him,
he wasn't great. He wasn't.
They brought on Ings for Somerville, right?
Yeah, because
so
I did a watch along, and I was hearing people in the chat were saying, what's the choices here?
There was about 3 minutes of normal time plus 8 minutes added on.
When he was that
things on.
There was some weird substitutions, wasn't there,
Jeff? And he had no idea that there was going to be 8 minutes at that point. He thought there was only going to be 3 or 4 minutes for Ings to play, maybe 1 or 2 added on. Ended up being 8.
Do you think he's keeping Fulkrug so that he's ready for Bournemouth?
Maybe.
I think he's probably not used him last night because we were already in a winning position.
Because if he brings him on for 8 minutes or whatever, right? And then
we didn't need a goal last night.
And then he's not available. Everyone's going, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah.
There is that to it. But what you just said there, Budge, you think about it, them 2 penalty shots that they've had, they were giving them that extra goal would have done us a favour. But
I can't believe the Mavropanos one wasn't a penalty.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you, what did you think of him last night? Because I was having literally a row with my chat last night. A lie. When they were saying he had a good game.
He started off well.
Right.
He was intercepting a lot of the actual challenges. He was intercepting, the balls being played through. The second half was a little bit more susceptible to letting some mistakes through, and then we saw, a couple of pushes near the end of the game. I don't know if he's blown out of his backside at that stage, but consistently he didn't have a bad game in my eyes. But as it went in the second half, near the end,
a few times during the game as well. So
he did do that as well. Yep.
You might be right. He might have been blowing out of his arse.
My view of Mavropanos last night is overall, I think he had a decent game, but he scares the shit out of me. He makes me nervous. He never
Yeah.
looks comfortable on the
Completely
ball. He always looks like
Yeah.
he's going to make a mistake. And to be fair, he absolutely got away with one with that penalty, because I think that
100%.
probably should have been a penalty, and that would have been his mistake that he makes, right? Overall, I do think he was decent, but he scares me, and he always looks like he's got error in him.
Well, I thought
Yeah.
it's deja vu for me and you, Jeff, because I think we said the same thing last time, didn't we? When he could have easily give away a penalty. Yeah, he can.
Yeah,
he can be a liability, can't he?
And that's the problem. We've got a player there that's basically got one error a game, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Last night, like
One
was I-
costly error again.
Yeah, like was I harsh last night? I thought he was okay, but like when you see his performances, I don't ever see Mavropanos ever blockbuster the game and say, "Wow, what a performance from like Mavropanos." I don't really feel that. Do you know what I mean? Every time I see him, it's always like a okay performance or a decent performance. It's never an extremely good performance. Like, with
Actually,
Kilman,
James, the one game I thought he did have a really good game in was that game that he scored against Arsenal. I thought he had a good game that day.
And after that, there came a shout over social media for him to start up front because we were having crises and all this, that, and the other. And I said at the time, there's a reason he used to be a striker and he's now a centre back. And there's usually a reason that people become centre backs that used to be strikers or centre backs, because they're not very fucking good. Yeah, and I think over his attempts on goal, the way he meets corners, and I mean, his best attribute, his best chance to score a goal is from about 30 yards. If he fucking hits one of them thunderbolts in it, and catches one.
Yeah.
Other than that, his head's like fucking 50 pence, isn't it?
So was his foot yesterday as well, Jeff, for that shot he had.
Should have scored in the first half, honestly.
Oh yeah, clear as day.
But yeah, I mean, I thought that in general last night, like from the stadium point of view, bearing in mind I'm not getting close up and all that you guys are getting on TV, and I'm not hearing the commentary or anything like that. From a stadium point of view, I thought he had a reasonable game with the inevitable mistakes. So, I mean, like, we kind of expect mistakes out of him. And, there were them. And some of the points during the game between those mistakes, he played some reasonably good football.
Yeah, no, I agree totally, yeah. I think he was good in large parts. It's when he's got the ball at his feet, he always looks like he's not quite sure what to do with it next. And he always looks like he's getting close down a little bit too much.
He had the measure of that lad that was coming down the left wing, though.
He did, yeah, give him that. But I don't know if you noticed, though, when that comment you just made there, Jeff, the problem was, I think, when he had the ball, we was quite static a hell of a lot, especially the first half. When you're expecting some movement, so there can be, as they say, the old give and go with the ball, we were static.
Well, our midfield did not do what it did against Newcastle, did it?
Oh, no, not at all.
When our back four had the ball and around our own box back to the goalkeeper, our midfielders were dropping in, ready to receive that ball. There was none of that last night. It was just backwards and sideways, wasn't it? No one was really coming to receive. It was so noticeably different.
What it is, us off the ball is crap. I was going to say that. We're us off the ball trying. And someone said it about Mo last night, and Mitch, who's been on E20 for a good few years, said this to me. He said, James, Mo's one of the he loves Mo, but Mo doesn't play. He always plays the ball to his feet and wants to try and take people on instead of looking to try and get someone to feed him through, and trying to make the run. Basically, do you know what I mean? We're asking Mo to make a run, and he's not making the run. Like, how can I put it?
I know he's laying the ball off a lot more last night though than he does normally.
Yeah, but you don't really want him laying it. You want the ball to come over the top for him to run onto. Like, for instance, Somerville last night, the pass into Soler in the first half. That ball, that's the run that Kudus should be making.
Yeah.
That run in behind with the pace, right? And I'm not being funny. Kudus against any defender 1-on-1, I'd fancy him to let a shot go. But he's too deep, and two, he's getting the ball in positions where basically he's ineffective to a point.
Mhm.
And he enthusiastically closes down in the last third. But once a player kind of goes past him, going the other way, he doesn't always put enough effort, I don't think, going the other way, and it impacts on his teammates.
Yeah, agree on that.
We've got big enough holes there without that.
Exactly.
I know we don't want to depend on him defending, but he still needs to do his defensive duties, right?
How much would you say that the situation we're in is, like, in percentages, what would you say is on the players also to a point? So you got Lopetegui and then you got the players.
I think they've got to take at least a third responsibility, at least some of them.
Yeah,
I think there's an element, right? We hear about all this stuff. I hate all this shit that comes out of our club, right? The next manager's lined up that he's not. Apparently, Terzic been lined up waiting to take the job for 2 weeks until it come down to the crunch time where we might actually sack the manager. And then guess what? Oh no, he don't want it now.
Yeah.
But he's been sitting in the wings waiting for 2 weeks, if you believe everything you hear. Well, he obviously fucking wasn't, right? So there's a load of old bollocks, right? We hear all the bollocks that comes out of the dressing room and all this stuff with Tadibo, what we're on with Kudus, the fallout with this. I don't think Lopetegui's doing a great job of managing that group, by the way, and I'm sure there's some dissension through the ranks. But some of this stuff, what is coming out is true. And they were talking about, there was reports they're going to walk out and go home because Lopetegui was taking training and all that. Fuck off. You're professional sportsmen, right? That's your fucking government. You're not fucking at school now. Right? I don't want to play with him. He's not my friend. Yeah. That is the height of unprofessionalism
The thing
in
with
the
that,
dressing
though,
room.
Jeff,
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
If
and the
this
thing with
stuff
that,
is true,
really, the thing with that really sticks in my throat. What's his job title?
Head coach, isn't he?
Lopetegui, head coach, yeah.
Head coach. So he should be taking fucking training sessions.
No, this
In
was
my opinion.
because they all, if the stories are to be believed, because they were reassured that Lopetegui was going to be sacked, and then Lopetegui was taking training, apparently, if you believe all of this reported, yeah. Some of them are going to go, I'm going to go home. I don't want to play for here. What a load of old bollocks. Yeah.
No,
You can't behave like that. That's not right.
I completely agree with you, mate. Honestly, that's why I was just letting you land on what you were saying. Like, it shouldn't be like that. I think what it is, I think Lopetegui's a bit soft. Like, he's not someone who puts fear into these players. I think what West Ham needs is a strong, robust manager who have no shit. I mean, none. Like, and I don't know why, but when I look at that photo there of us winning that trophy, and now together the whole everyone was. When I look at us right now, we've never been more divided, like as in apart with the players. Do you know what I'm saying? Is it the new players coming in and haven't gelled into the side? Is it the current crop are just not cutting it? I don't know, mate. I don't know. It's just.
I think it's more the manager. You know, it's a manager syndrome, isn't it? I mean, a new guy comes in, you buy players in. You've got to try and get them to integrate with the new players.
Yeah,
and it's a way you deal with that. The fact that it took them a while to integrate players, obviously, that upset a lot of people. But going back to what you said there, for me and that, I think it was at one point 50-50. And as it's gone on so far, you can easily turn and say that 35% is Lopetegui and 65% is the players not playing for this bloke. Because it's clear and obvious in certain games you watch. You just got to, look at the last game. When Lopetegui and Bowen kind of, not the Wolves game, but the one before that, when you see him kind of huddle, you got Bowen turning away like that. It's a lot, I don't really know. And Lopetegui's doing exactly the same. So there's no harmony. And that's supposed to be a manager that's supposed to have integrated these players, which he said he was going to do in the first place. And it's definitely not happening.
it would be interesting to see what is really going on in there, because like if the owner must know, right? He must know what's going on. But yeah, if he's sitting on his hands and going, nope, I ain't doing nothing about it, you got to deal with it, then I can get it to a point, because listen, not everyone likes their boss. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right, right, let's be real. Whoever it is, like there's always someone that you ain't gonna get on with. So I can understand you can't keep sacking the manager on that regard. But then for me, some of these players I do think are down in tools to a point and trying to get him sacked. Do you know what I mean? Like Lucas Paqueta last night comes on for 30 minutes of that game.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I nearly lost it last night completely with him in that last sort of 90 seconds of that game. When he's got the ball, all he's got to do is run to the corner flag, hold the ball, and it's fine. Yeah. Honestly. And then he decides to have a shot from like 35, 40 yards away.
Yes.
And then Fabian.
We hadn't spoke about this tonight because I spoke briefly with the guys before we came on live about this, and I'll let you carry on, James, because you're just echoing everything I was saying.
Honestly, mate. Honestly, it was driving me. Jeff, it was literally drove me to the point of like I wanted to smash me up in a way, because it's clueless. It's clueless players. Yeah, it's in-game management. Right,
Fabianski was going ballistic at him, rightly so.
And yeah, I completely agree. Rightfully so. Right, and I'm glad he did, because he needs to be a fucking bollock in there. Do you know what I mean? To say, come on, right, we're 2-1 up with 90 seconds to go. You've got the ball at your feet. You're a skillful player. You go straight to the corner flag. You push everyone up, and you hold that
loads
ball
of
there.
space to run into, right?
Yeah.
And it was just, it's. I just don't get what some of these players like. I just feel it's a collective of everything. If I'm being honest, I think Lucas Paqueta is a problem because of the gambling thing, and we don't know where we are with him. Yeah, that's really sodded us up massively. If I'm being honest, yeah, because he shouldn't be here. He should have been sold in last year, last summer, and he's still here, and he's here, and his mind is somewhere else, but his body's at West Ham. For me, Kudus, I love him, but is he looking for a way out? That's a major concern. Like that first half performance, and I agree with you, Tone, 100%. I was not happy with him in the first half. I was like, come on, Mo, right, we need you in this game. And the only ones who really sort of give it a go was Quasencio Somerville, picking the ball up and driving at people, right? Bowen, and even Fabianski to a point. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, I can't think of anyone else. Do you know what I mean? So
actually, I thought Wan-Bissaka made himself busy, but didn't do an awful lot.
Yeah.
He was better in the second half. I think he's better in the second half, Budge.
A lot of the time he was making himself available and not being used. So, but he was busy last night in the first half. Anyway.
Yeah. For me, and I said I did the watch along. I actually give him man of the match because what I liked about him was he linked up with Boleyn, and with Alvarez, etc., and Souček.
Yeah.
So he kept the ball in play quite a lot in their third.
Yeah.
But yes, as you said, he pushed up too much. Is anyone covering at that point? And that's sometimes where we kind of let ourselves down a little bit because we don't kind of speak to each other. And someone's put it in the chat. I mean, Emerson's going to miss the game now for a sheer bit of stupidity, really, when he didn't need to.
I think it's a pretty straightforward though. It
wasn't straightforward, but it's one of those, James. It was easily avoidable as well.
Oh yeah, listen, I completely agree with you, mate. And he's lucky he didn't get sent off for the penalty.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that one as well. Yeah,
because that's the second bookable events if I've ever seen it. Pushing someone in the back as you're going into the box. Obviously against Bournemouth, right? For cover, we're gonna. Well, unless he goes with Cresswell, which I don't think he'd do. I think he goes Wan-Bissaka on the left-hand side and then Soufal on the right. That's what I think he'd do. So Wan-Bissaka can play both sides, can't he? So
yeah. Actually, that's probably a good option.
Done it relatively successfully already this season for us, right? So
yeah.
Good comment from Robbie. Look, in his opinion, Sully will work until the next home loss. The fans will be disgruntled, and he'll bin Loppy and blame the fans for it. Yeah, Sullivan.
I mean, talking about Sullivan, I mean, I was on your show. This is a good few weeks ago now, Tony, and we were talking about the Potter situation, and I said, "What's he going to do?" phone him up, go, here, Graham, I know I said you're a bit shit and all that, and I still don't rate you that much, but can you come in for 6 months till the end of the season? Yeah, till I get someone better. Yeah. And we were laughing, and I was making a joke. The fuck has actually gone and done that?
Yes. Yeah.
No, Jeff, he hasn't. Right, he's rung Brady up, spoke to her husband, who was mates with him, and said, "Can you come round? We need you."
come round for dinner. Come round for
I've got
dinner.
some
We'll have a
lovely
little
green
talk.
plates here I want you to check out.
Yeah,
I mean-
like, you know.
I mean, I can't. I'm astounded. He's actually done that. Potter will do a better job than Lopetegui, right?
No,
Oh, yeah.
Not
I
exciting,
don't
is he?
believe he would.
I think he'll steady us a bit more.
Yeah,
I think that's what he'll do. I mean, look, we know he's obviously tarnished because of the Chelsea situation, but possibly that this is Potter's level, a club like us.
Yeah, but
Why
people
hasn't he
forget.
got a job already then?
Yeah, but people forget he was getting booed by Brighton fans, mate. Before
Yeah.
he
Why
left.
hasn't he got a job already, Tone?
He's been waiting for this slot, mate. Look at the rest of the game. Him and Nolan were there waiting for the phone call after the game, kind of thing. Like, you know, call me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for me, like the Brighton job flattered him to a point. I think, don't get me wrong, he done a good job, but Brighton's recruitment is one of the best recruitments in the Premier League in regards of
In the
like,
world,
Yeah.
mate.
You said this on Sunday, didn't you? When you
One
come
of
on
the best
Sunday,
in
you
the
mentioned that.
world.
You know,
Yeah,
their setup
and
is phenomenal.
it's
How
unreal.
many
Like,
clubs are regularly picking up players for less than £1 million and selling them for multiple millions?
That's
You
what
know.
we
And-
used to do, Budge.
Yeah,
That's
but
what we
Brighton
used to
have
do.
been doing
Yeah.
it for the last 5 to 8 years,
I
mate.
know, but
Yeah.
we set. If in certain respects, we did set the standard. I mean, Ronnie Gow, the players he spotted and sold on to millions. Unfortunately, now it's few and far between from us lot.
Yeah.
but you got to look at it that even with managers, they're good. Like De Zerbi comes in, changes their style, they look better. This guy comes in, they've picked him up from St. Pauli, I think, out in Germany. So, and what I like it about the Brighton model is they don't mind taking risks, which is sometimes a good thing. Like, because if you don't try, you never know. Like with West Ham, it's like we would
It's
rather have
very similar to the Red Bull model, isn't it, James, to be fair?
well, it's the money ball system, isn't it? That's what they call it. They basically buy cheap, buy in bunches of players, and then obviously in one or two of them players are going to go for a lot more than what they paid out as a collective. So if they buy, say, 5 players for 20 million, if they get 40 million, they've doubled their money. Do you know what I'm saying? Out of it. So it's like it's a very well run. Brentford have the same model, but not as good. That's why Brentford stay in the league. But you know, Brighton's model is very, very good. But when it comes to Potter, though, I think he would steady us. I think you'd get the players on side, but I don't think this fan base at the minute will tolerate his way of playing. If I'm honest,
Thing with me for Potter is, if you'd have said to me in the summer, going to get Graham Potter, he's on a 3-year deal, I'd be a bit like, I'm uninspired. I think his team struggled to score goals, play nice enough football to get to the final third, all of that, right? If you're saying to me now, come in for 6 months, rescue the situation we're in, I wouldn't be excited about it, but I wouldn't be dead against it either.
But what would be the rescue mission to a point, Jeff, for you? Like,
I don't know. I think he'd just shore us up, maybe get us a few more points than Lopetegui does.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's not exciting appointment for me. And if he's on a 3-year project, I'm a bit like, oh. But if we're looking at, we've got someone who's a firefighter who's going to come in for 6 months, and we've got to get rid of Lopetegui. If it's Potter, it's Potter. Do you know what? If it's Noble, it's I'm kind of getting to the I don't care stage, right?
I'll be back in a minute, guys. I've got to answer this phone call.
All right,
and I do think this is where we fell down with with the Moyes thing, because we've got a fan base now who are out there going, no one wanted Lopetegui. No one asked for this. My reply to be that would be, if you're in the anyone but Moyes camp, get me anyone but Moyes. In a roundabout way, you have asked for this, right? Because you've got anyone but Moyes, and it happens the anyone's Lopetegui, and that's what we've copped, right?
Yeah.
And so there we are. And I'm not quite in the anyone but Lopetegui camp, but I'm sort of fast getting to just see the season out. Let's just get this season behind us.
What you just said there is absolutely what I said last night. People who were saying that last year, anyone but Moyes, I'll have anyone. Yeah, I think sometimes they've got to rethink on what they're saying. With Lopetegui, is this a long-term project? No. Is he going to benefit us this time next year? No. Is he going to get sacked this year? I actually don't think he's getting sacked. I want him out the door. I don't believe he's the right guy. And I think he's going to affect the players long-term down the road. Yeah. Players are going to want to go. But the problem is the owner always goes for these so-called managers with Premier League experience, right? And it drives me mental. It really does. Because Arne Slot ain't got Premier League experience. Iola at Bournemouth ain't got Premier League experience. Even so much as Arteta. Like, he might have played in the Premier League, but to be a manager in the Premier League, he had no Premier League experience, and he'd come into his first management job with Arsenal. I think you've just got to be real with the fans from the ownership side of things and say, right, this is a project that we're going for. We're going for a younger manager. We're going to do this over 4 years, and our goal is to try and integrate the youth, make West Ham a bit of a force, i.e. in the Premier League, try and get us into the top 10 in the first season, and then kick on from there. I think with Lopetegui, is they've looked at the name, looked at the CV, and turned around and gone, yeah, that do.
A la Pellegrini.
Yeah. And it's when you look at him, and you look at Pellegrini, it's chalk and cheese, mate. Literally, they're both the same. Like, and it's, for me, I just don't get it. The problem is, that's on the ownership side of things. I don't know about whether Tone agrees, but on the ownership side of things, where you've got someone who's not as ambitious as us, then you've got a problem. And where Moyes outdid what the owner wanted, that's where we are right now. Whether you like Moyes or not, or hate Moyes, like whatever it is, that man outdid anything that any other manager's done in the Premier League era with West Ham. So you've got to match that with a new appointment.
And as Mick said last week, the football was shit, or in large part, the football was shit. And that both statements are true, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I still stick to it. I'm sure Moyes knew that, that season relied on him getting a contract or not. And I think once he knew that, he went in half-cocked with that last season.
Yeah.
And it showed.
Well, that's the only worry, isn't it, with the 6-month thing? If we look last year at the players who knew the manager was leaving and the manager who knew he wasn't extending his contract, and everyone just kind of not completely down tools, but they did a bit, didn't they? In certain games, they just sort of did.
It's like anything, though, Jeff. I just want to say this time, I'll let you land. Yeah, it's like anything. If someone's like, if you're at work or you're in any sort of business, and someone pulls a contract from you, and you've been not promised, but you've been offered something, and they've pulled it back, it's going to piss you off either way.
Holiday mode.
Yeah, it's basically going to say, right, if that's how you're going to play it, you're going to pay me every penny up to the end. I'm going to sit this all the way out to the end, and I don't care about anything else. And I think anyone in their right mind would be the same there, right? I'm not saying it's right, but they would feel like that. Do you know?
It's human reaction, Jamie. Isn't it? It's a human reaction. You do that, you're down tools.
Yeah,
it's like you want loyalty. I'm giving you that, and all of a sudden, this is how am I going to be rewarded? You can go stick up your backside where the sun don't shine, and then you do literally look off.
Moyes had to go just for many reasons, because the fan base had just bad enough. And it was just a war with the fans. Like, I don't know about you, Tone, but on E20 I was getting it, and I was like, I can't be dealing with this all the time. Like, literally backwards and forwards. Like, win a game, and then it's about Moyes, and even so much as so a bit like last night felt like that again. The Lopetegui, like,
Yeah.
I don't care about Lopetegui. I care about West Ham, and West Ham winning the game should mean more than anything. Do you know what I mean? Like the other side of stuff is different, and I do think I don't know. I will say it. I do think people sort of believe something that wasn't going to come true. They believed that they was going to get this top manager. Stein was going to pick the manager, and it was all going to be hunky dory, and it was going to be amazing and all that. And they just forgot who owns the club.
True on that. Before I answer that, Jeff Budgie's in the green room, mate. He's ready to come back in.
Oh, I didn't realise he'd gone out.
I think, I mean, when you look at it,
man, something going on here.
The thing with that,
the
fan base, soon the way, but you know, way Moyes was acting, the players are not going to respond so much. Fans see it, we all see it. But yeah, I'll agree with what you said. He did need to go. It got to the stage that I wouldn't say it become untenable, but you could just tell that we weren't enjoying what was going on. But
my computer's gone mad. My screen's zoomed up to max. I can't. I've got the pointer's going crazy. Can you carry on, guys? I hope I'm not doing anything. I can't get Budgie in a minute.
Tone's disappeared. It's just me. Right. Welcome to the boat.
I can't do anything here in a minute. My pointer won't let me do anything. Right. Let me see if I can. Oh, right. There's Budgie. Let's get him in. Is he in? Yeah, Budgie's in.
All gone Pete on.
It's that bloody freedom of speech, isn't it? It's that freedom of speech.
I've been upgraded. Look, I'm in the top right-hand corner.
So we know. Hold on, Jeff. I know he's being paid off now by Sully and that. All right, we know how you're cancelling people out. Did you get that?
Walkers.
Right. If you guys can do the chat, if any of you guys got control of the chat and your channels.
No, unfortunately, it's all through you, Jeff. It is all through you.
Well, basically, you just read them out from there.
All we can do is report or block them.
How far back was you, Jeff? That's the question.
No, I'm okay. I think computer just went crazy, and my pointer was going all over the place. It just zoomed out my screen. So I'll try and catch up with the chat, and I'll leave you to pick up wherever you were. Wherever I threw you out, Tony, if I did that. Sorry about that, mate.
No, it's fine. It's fine on that one. Let's see where we were, Jeff. I don't know if you still had it start up with anyone.
I can't remember the last one that he had up. I'm trying to think. I could actually I can find out.
I think I'm somewhere around. I'll tell you where I was. I was just going to put Trini's comment up, where he says we're 7 points off fifth, because I did star one of his comments earlier, and I didn't get back to it, where he was saying about our attacking statistics and some other statistics, and just saying that it's just not coming together in both boxes. So, and that is correct. We are creating more chances, right? We are getting more possession than we had last year. And I think there are certain games where we're showing signs where we're trying to use that possession a bit better. But
does that
we're
change?
Failing.
But does that change if we get two midfielders in? We just for argument's sake, we said right in the January window we get a striker and a midfielder in of energy, not people that are statues, right? Yeah. Does our team change all of a sudden? Because I think Lopetegui is at fault for a lot of things. I really do, yeah. But on one thing that I do feel sorry for him is the recruitment hasn't been as good as what we expected it to be, especially in the middle of the park. I know Solaire's doing all right, but I do think we lack energy in that middle of the park, and we lack someone who can pick the ball up from deep and drive. We haven't really replaced Declan Rice. I know it's hard, but
No.
you know we haven't. That's the problem.
And last year we saying
now.
we didn't miss him, but well, in some ways we haven't replaced Lanzini, and he wasn't even the player that he used to be when he left.
No, but he was still, in my opinion, one of, until we got Kudus, of course, he was still one of the most tactically gifted players I've watched in the past 5 years or more. You know, he was tactically, you know, technically, I mean, not tactically, technically. He was really good with his feet and stuff.
Well, I think we upgraded with Somerville, weren't you, when you look at on that respects, but we need more than one Somerville.
Yeah. Well, really and truly, we've upgraded Ben Rama with Somerville, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, because he was the chosen boy for the left, wasn't he, most of the time? But you know, that's for me, that is a massive upgrade. You know, but you know, we still haven't replaced that quick thinking, determined midfielder that we had in Pablo Fornals. I mean, like some of these through balls and stuff were, you know, they were at the drop of a bloody hat. You know, the ball would come to him so fast, and then he would like ping it over the top onto Boleyn or someone to run onto. You know, he was so good at that. I really enjoyed watching that part of his game. And although we've got Paqueta that can do that, he doesn't do it regularly enough. You know, and as one of you guys mentioned earlier, it's not like the one-touch football we were used to from our sort of relatively small squad. We were getting quite a lot of one-touch football. It's now taking 2 and 3 touches and getting closed down too quickly now and stuff like that.
Last night, I'm going to be honest. Last night, amount of times we was dillying on the ball, and you know, like you have a pass, like you get the ball and you think, right, lay it off now. Right, there's space there, and they'll take too long. Bowen done it once, could have done it once. I just think like I'm hoping, right, if he ain't getting the sack, Lopetegui, which if I was to say give a percentage of where I think he's going to get the sack, I'm probably about 60%, maybe 65%. I think he might get the sack. Yeah, I'm still not in that camp where I think he will though. Like I look at him and I just think, right, if he gets another result, he's staying here till January. Now, well, what do you do with him? My problem is if he does stay here, what happens next season? Because you have 1 year left, and then you got the Lopetegui thing, and it just goes again. So I just hope in the January window, the owners go out and they put their hand in their pocket, because we need a centre forward now. We've obviously no Mikel at the club.
Yeah, agree on that.
What do you think?
Go on, sorry, James.
What do you think they're going to do with Mikel Antonio in regards of his contract?
We saw what the club did with Ogbonna. We saw how they more or less manipulated Dawson into staying an extra year. We've seen before many times the extension of Creswell's contract, etc. That's my opinion. I think they'll extend it. They'll give him the opportunity to give us a chance to say goodbye to him properly. Even if it's only 10-minute spell in the last game of next season.
I think the problem here, though, you know, when you think he's going to be 35 for a whole year for this recovery, then you've got to think in that period of time there's rehabilitation, any setbacks or anything like that. You're probably going to look at him at the age 36. You know, at least 18 months. So 36 years old. Yeah. Is he? You know, he's not going to be able to cut the mustard up top. That's for sure.
There's two sides to it, isn't there? There's the sentimental side of it, where all of the things what you've just said, Budgie, about and it would be nice if they just gave him a contract and we can come on and see him say goodbye to me. And I mean, who could argue with the sentiment of that? And then there's the cold-hearted business decision of everything that you've just said, Tony, about it's a serious injury of a player of a certain age who's going to have a certain amount of recuperation. Is he going to be able to play to those levels and to the level that the sport demands? I think you're asking and really asking a lot of the guy. If there's even an expectation that he could achieve that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but who knows, right?
The
Let's not
fitness
write
is a
it.
level.
That sounds a harsh, horrible thing. The guy's up in hospital, just had an operation, and we're talking about this. And from what I've just said, that sounds like I've written him off, and I think that's unfair. So, I think if the question's out there, I think it has to be considered, right?
Yeah, but you have got to ask the question, though, mate.
You have, because
we just talked about
you got
Ogbonna,
Antonio's probably done exactly the same, Jeff. He's obviously questioning. He must think to himself, we all agree, and he's probably thinking exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
he's a very lucky boy.
He's lucky to be alive.
Ogbonna, and how many of us said we've got to stop doing this? All this sentiment, keeping players longer than they should do, and standing by. And I think it was an honourable thing to do to stand by Ogbonna the way the club did.
Yeah.
And if you look at the way that these snakes fucking operate for most of the time, it's amazing that they did, right?
Yeah. I think there's a different way of looking at it with Ogbonna to Antonio, though. The reason being is the reason with Ogbonna. That was a footballing injury. This is more psychological now. This is like, would he feel about how's he going to feel about getting behind the car again? That's another thing. Like, is he going to get and it's
that's his third one, James. I think it'd be all right.
I think that comes to exactly to the point that I was about to make with the strength of the character involved. Right.
Yeah.
Now we all know that 2 years ago we were kind of calling Antonio without actually using the words, but we were basically calling him a sick note, that he was always getting injuries and this and that. And all of a sudden his mindset and, the people around him helped him, but he changed that around.
Yeah.
He was still getting knocked, but he was still there in the next game. We weren't expecting him to play, and he would be there on the starting lineup. And that's the strength of character. That's him fighting back to fitness. Now, I think something like this, we will really see the strength of Mikel Antonio's character. And I believe that Mikel Antonio will not take 18 months to get back on the grass.
He's fit. The problem is it's a double compound fracture. They're not easy to heal.
Yeah.
One of those type injuries. I mean, as you said, I think the fitness is what's going to see him through, because he's a fit old guy.
And the fact that, medical
science is a lot better
these days are so well advanced, that they can do wonderful things in surgery these days.
Of course they can do.
The problem is, I've got to look at this from another side. Do you go with a Mikel Antonio on a play as you pay as you play basis, because basically his contract's running down now, right?
An Andy Carroll payment, basically. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Basically, yeah. Or do you sort of go down the other route and say, right, if you go down that route, then you're stopping us getting another striker at the club. Like it's very like it's heart over head. Like heart says you keep him here, you give him the send off that he deserves.
I would think that if they kept Mikel Antonio on I don't know, what would you call it? A basic wage?
Basically,
pay as you play.
I would say pay as you play, yeah.
Pay as you play, yeah, because of the age group. I'd say, agree on that.
But also, like while he's in recovery and that, give him a decent wage to keep him going and motivated and whatnot else, And you got to remember, like I said, the strength of character is going to be a massive part of his recovery.
Of course,
massive part.
But I'll go with what Jeff
does, as we know, believes in his own mind that there isn't anyone better out there. He believes that.
Well, that's every player, Budge. They have that same attitude. But I agree with what Jeff said. I mean, if you look at it, we've got to be more realistic and look at it from a business sense. We've got an aging player, and we're going to change the manager.
The players you play approach.
Yeah, but then he's only going to get
both sides of that argument.
Game, is he? He's not going to get full time. If he's going to pay as you play, he'll want to move on.
Yeah.
You know, because that'll be, if you look at it in certain respects, if you can't make it in the Premier
But we're
League,
talking about his
he'll
contract
drop down.
ending in June, right?
Yeah,
6
that's
months,
within
yeah.
7 months, isn't it? Something like
And
that.
so when you're talking about whatever, like he's not going to be playing anywhere in 6 months, right?
Yeah, but what it is,
No.
the issue is, what do you do? Do you offer him a new deal?
Yeah,
So
no,
do
that's
you-
the question. That's what I'm saying. He's
Yeah.
not going to say, "Oh, I get this deal, I'll go and play." He's not going to be playing anywhere for. So, if West Ham offer him any kind of deal, unless they
Is this the
insult
actual
him,
end of his contract, or is there a year option
No,
available?
I don't.
know,
I
it
think
might
this is
be
the
an-
end. This is the end. I think. I don't think there's any
is there?
extension. I don't think there's any
Right, so
extension.
It's the
they've
end
used
of
up the
contract.
extension that would have been on his contract before
Yeah.
then.
So
Yeah.
this, I don't think there's any extension. So when you look at something like that, business sense, you pay the man off, and then you either give him an ambassador role, you give him some kind of something in the club, so he kind of gives back that way rather than being on
Yeah.
the pitch,
I've got a
and
feeling.
we move on.
I've got a feeling he don't play again. If I'm being
Yeah, I don't
honest.
think. I don't think he's going
I
to play
tend
again.
to
Yeah,
agree. I think
it's everybody's worst fear, James. You know,
Mm.
I
to
think
be
it's a big
fair,
ask for a man.
It
I
is
think
a
he knows
big
it
ask,
himself, Budgie. He
you
knows it
know.
himself.
Yeah.
And I
He
hope he
knows
proves
it
me
himself.
wrong.
Look, you know,
I'd love
I
it
mean,
if
I
he
know
did.
I've been banging on about the strength of character and stuff, and 2 years ago, you know, his strength of character gave him that motivation and drive to do, you know, to become a fitter player and available more often. But now there will be like 3 years have gone on since that period, so there's that extra wear and tear on the body. You know, look, I'm not blind. I'm not completely carrot and blue glasses about it. I honestly believe. Well, if his contract ends in June and they said thank you, Mikel, and goodbye, you can't blame them for that.
Oh, 100%. 100%
But
agree with you on
if
that.
they did say, look, Mikel, you know, we'll put you on, you know, 10 grand a week just so that you're not, you know, unemployed, as it were, and we'll give you, I don't know, 100 grand for every game you play or something, or whatever the case may be. I don't know how it would work, but I think he, you know, during his recovery period, they've got to stand by him.
I don't think they will, though, mate. And I'll tell you the reason why I don't think they're going to, because they ain't going to give a player. I know he's, listen, I know what he is. He's been here a long time. I'll get all that. But they're not going to give a player that they fear might not ever play again. Like, he's got, first off, he's got a year's worth of like rehabilitation, getting back and everything. Then he's also got to get back to match fitness. Then by that time, he's going to be older. He's going to be slower.
I agree. I do agree.
Yeah, what done me more than anything the other day when I heard the news, and it did choke me a bit, is that might be the last time we ever see him in a shirt, and I don't think he deserved to go out like that. Like, don't get me wrong, he's lucky to be alive.
But then, you know, I mean, one would expect him maybe at the last home game of the season that they would bring him out, whether it be on crutches or in a wheelchair or whatever the case may be, so that he can say goodbye to us lot.
Yeah,
I think they'll do that as a mark of respect. I mean, like, you know, when you think when Oggy finished, Oggy
you
came
got to
onto the
remember,
pitch.
we're talking about the club record-scoring Premier League goal scorer.
Yeah, they'll do that, but I'm sure they'll do that because we have got a little bit of respect.
And that isn't just being sentimental about it. That's also, you know, kind of like the hardcore facts. You know, he is our record-scoring goalkeeper, goal scorer.
Okay, Budgie, I'm gonna wrap this question up. I'm gonna test your sentimentality meter here, right? I'm gonna wrap this question up in a different scenario. Mickey and Tony doesn't have a car crash on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plays and performs as he has been, and we're contemplating now on this show tonight. Do you reckon we should renew Antonio's contract at the end of the season? Do you think we should keep him for another 2 years, 3 years? I think you'd be questioning.
No, not 2 or 3 years. No,
2 or
definitely
3.
not.
Okay, so if you then say we're going to renew his contract, but he won't play for 18 months, how long is his contract going to be renewed for? It has to be a minimum of 2 years, right? So would you say at 36 years old, you're going to give him a 2-year contract? But if his recovery is over a year,
yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but there is still 6 months of this season left.
Right?
There is still 6 months of this season left.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
if you weigh it out 18 months.
At the end of the following season, he probably would be ready to play on grass under those things, you know, under those.
That's 2 years then, right?
Yeah, no,
so you have
but
to give him a 2-year contract.
I asked the question: is this the end of his contract, or has he got a year's option available?
He hasn't got
the answer I got was there's no option available.
Yeah. So my question to you,
the answer to your question, Jeff, is no. You don't. You don't offer him another contract.
Yeah.
The problem is
the fact is he has had this almost life-threatening accident, and my belief is that his employed, regardless of who they are, should stick by him until he's ready to move on.
Sure. So really, I'm saying your answer really is driven, but the sentiment is the big driver rather than practicality in your answer.
It's
right?
that
and I understand
responsibility.
The only thing I will say on that, just to say this, is that he's got 6 months left. The contract was winding down. I get the sentiment. I really do. I don't think this club will take the risk on a player who has just had a near death, car crash, and basically wait for him. If he was 24 years old, I'd get it. Where he's 34, I think it's a completely different scenario altogether.
Yeah,
I think I think your heart is saying, listen, I'm with you, Budge. I think he deserves to go out as a hero at the club, right? And to be sort of have them games and, you know, finish on a high. But on this one, I just don't think it's going to happen, mate. I really don't. I look at him and I think...
No, I mean, you're probably right. He'll never kick a ball again competitively.
It wouldn't surprise me if he went to the MLS. That's where I think he could
Saudi or somewhere like that, maybe.
Well, either that or he'll go down to the lower leagues, you know, Championship, League One, League Two, where he can still cut the mustard.
Yeah, he'll never kick a Premier League ball again.
No.
Yeah.
I kind of understand that. I do understand that. But you know, the thing is, and you're right, it was kind of driven by some sentimentality, but it's also, as I said, it's also driven by responsibility as well, Jeff. You know, the club have got a responsibility to him, although the accident wasn't as a result of his profession. It was more travelling home from training, wasn't it?
There's no loyalty in football, though, is there? From clubs, players, managers. So, and I get what you're saying, right?
But I just believe that the club have got a responsibility to him. That's all.
Oh, they'll definitely do that. I mean, we've done it before in the past, and I think even with Sullivan in charge, I mean, you know, what was worrying first of all was that statement that come out. You know, thoughts and prayers with family, and you think, oh Jesus Christ. You know, that's the first thing you think of. And then, of course, you start seeing the photos. Then you hear, obviously, like, you know, he's been taken to hospital, etc. So you know at that point he's okay, and he's stable, and then that reassures you even further. Yes, the club has got responsibility. He's employed by them. They've still got a duty of care. They're still paying his wages, but they've also got insurances
to run.
You know, they've got a business to run, but they've also got insurances on that player as well. So if a player gets damaged, they're still going to get a payout because
what would their insurance be on a player like that with an injury like that? Because what it is, where it's not a footballing injury, is he more high risk to avoid? Do you know what I mean?
He's more of a high risk at that stage because of the age factor, you know, recovery rate and things like that.
And the fact that it happened outside of a footballing scenario.
It's still covered by the insurance, though. You know, even semi-pro players are covered by insurance by their club. You know, you're covered for any things like that.
Yeah, well, you do coaching and stuff, so you'd know more about that.
Yeah,
than
so
me.
when you look at that side, they are covered in that respect. But at the same point, just like any business, if you're out of action for such a period of time, then you literally see your wages drop down by half, and then if it stays on for longer, then your wages drop down even further. And that's maybe where the club. Well, we know with our chairman, that's probably going to be the case. He's kind of thinking, another one off the books in a couple of months' time. Happy days. He's going to be in that position, but
He's only here for
I
6
think
months
duty of
anyway,
care-
isn't he? Unless they extend.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the good thing about it, even if they don't renew, I like to think that what they'll do, they'll stick by him through this recovery rate and make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Because as you said, he is our top
And
goal
maybe,
scorer.
like you said,
So there's
offering an
that part.
ambassadorial role or something.
Something like that,
Once
you know.
his contract's run out, you know.
What do you think he's going to do though? Do you think he will play again? I don't think he does.
He probably won't play for West Ham again.
Do you think he plays
But-
professionally again?
I don't know about
Not Premier League level, that's for sure.
Mm.
Maybe the lower leagues, and as you said, maybe Saudi if he goes for a final payout, maybe obviously MLS. But you're a football player. That's been your profession all your life. That's all you virtually know.
Or,
Apart from those that kind of
does he-
go for a business, but that's it. And if you look at Antonio, the fact of when we brought in other strikers, especially Fulkrug, it was still the case of, I want to be there. Thank you very much. He's got to earn his crust. If he wants to take my spot, he's going to earn his, and he's still got that attitude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's seen off some big name signings, right? To his
Yeah,
credit.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
there's also another scenario for Mikel Antonio at the end of the season as well. You know, does he, step out of the game completely as a player and then go to Ghana and run his academy there? Because he's got an academy. He's having 3 pitches built with training facilities and all this, that, and the other over there.
Yes,
He's talking about
Who knows?
extending out into like basically a scouting, come, coaching, come, educational system type thing. Will he go over there and oversee it personally?
Who
Because
knows? I mean, we've
it's close to
speculated
his
quite a
heart,
lot
he says,
here
so-
now and spent quite a lot of time on it as well. So there's a comment here from Trodge actually that I'd be interested to see what everyone thinks of. And he says, if you let top underperforming stars like Paqueta and Kudus stink up the place for months, keeping other honest pros out of the team, it's going to have an effect on discipline. What do you guys think of that comment? Do you broadly agree or disagree with
Totally
that?
agree on it.
I
Totally
think
agree.
I think Paqueta. People blame Moyes last year for the demise of Lucas Paqueta, but he's been shit for a year. Like it was the 17th of December.
He was shit the first half when he came.
Yeah, right. He was like the 17th of December last year was Wolves at home, 3-0 win. He got man of the match with 3 assists. He was very, very good. And basically, in the space of a year, he hasn't done a lot, really. He hasn't had a game where he's been a man of the match performance from what I remember. I really don't. Kudus, I think it's only recently he's been like this. I think,
I think it was only really last night. I think he's been effective in every game he's played up until that.
I think the Spurs game
okay.
was the one where I stood him inside of Mo, where he's completely lost it and he was just going into one. Obviously that has affected us because let's be honest, having him out for 5 games is like, where would we have been if we'd have had him in the side? Them results might have been a little bit different, maybe, but I don't know. I just think it's a collective, mate. If I'm honest, I think the players. I think the players don't really. Certain man in that side don't really care, and that's a bit of a problem for me.
And there's a few comments here as well about Bowen and about Bowen being captain, and Matt says he's isn't a captain and he's too soft. And it's been kind of a bit of a debate for a few weeks, but you're starting to hear a bit more over the last few weeks, and you hear about him stepping in between Lopetegui and Todibo. and not sticking up for the manager in a degree to say he shouldn't be disrespected in that way. You see his reaction last night and the way he's starting to stand up a little bit more. I do think there is something in. For me, I was never happy with Bowen as a captain, more from a positional point of view on the pitch than anything else.
Yeah.
I think he's showing a bit more character over recent weeks, and I'll be interested to see what you
growing
guys think.
into the role, isn't he?
Yeah, I've got to disagree with Matt on that one. I thought last night, he held himself absolutely impeccable from start to finish, from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. The interviews he had to do in regards to Mikel, the way he conducted himself in every interview was superb. He's got the weight of the whole club on his shoulders, Jared. Right, and that's one thing that I think we'd all agree on, 100%. And as captain, he's trying his hardest, and he's trying to lead by example. Should Tadibo be really having a fight with the manager? Absolutely not. And it is disrespectful. And in any other walk of life, Tadibo will get the sack.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you've done that in any sort of other job, you'd be getting the sack. It wouldn't be the manager getting the sack. So I can understand it, but I do think Bowen, out of the crop of players we've got there, he's the only one I really trust, and probably Souček to a point. The rest of them I won't trust it as far as I can throw him.
I'd give it to Kilman, I must admit. But going back on the comment there, what Matt said, I understand the comment because if you look at when he was first given the captaincy, it affected his game. He wasn't making the same runs. He wasn't as pacey as we know him to be. For me, what changed it is the England goal. That's what changed him. And from that point onwards, that's when he found his balls, and he's starting to grow a little bit more into the role. Needs to be a bit more vocal, but since that England goal he got his confidence has picked up from that game.
I agree, but I do think he speaks well. He doesn't lose his rag, so he don't very rarely get booked. So there you go. This is having a fight. There you go.
Yeah, he did. I'm just about to start a comment up here from Usual, which made me smile. Says Tony Bloom and the Gimp are a million miles apart as chairman of a football club, and there's never a truer word said there. Run in a completely different manner.
Oh, definitely.
I'm going to try and catch up with the comments a little bit, and I don't know about you guys, but we've been going quite a long time tonight.
Hour and 51 minutes, mate.
Yeah, so I actually have to try and start wrapping it up.
Good when you enjoy
Steve says it's a good comment here from Steve as well. As he said before, only West Ham could get a coach worse than the one they got rid of.
It is true. Yeah, look, Duran, what we missed out on that kid. Jeez.
That'd be interesting to see how that comes out in the future, whether that was a Steiden fuck up or that was a Sullivan, I ain't going to pay any more money.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it all comes out in the end. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The brilliant of West Ham worries me, right? When we talked, I see some chat earlier in the chat about Dilap. And then you look at Bournemouth, who we're going to play, who've picked up Evan Nilsson. You look at Wolves last night, who've picked up Strand Larson, right? And we've got fucking Fulkrug, was our 30 million acquisition, right? And you just think, someone answer me how that happens, right?
I have no idea. Well, it's the West Ham way.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well.
Let me offer an idea to you, lads. If Lopetegui is going to get sacked and we're going to need basically a firefighter until the end of the season, what about Bilic?
He won't do it.
Don't know.
He won't do it. You tell him to go
loves the club.
fuck that. He does, but he don't fucking hates them. And by the way, did you see the state of Bilic when he walked out of this football club? You got to feel sorry for the man. He was fucking broken.
What is it with us and us breaking managers?
They do. They fucking break managers. Them
Literally,
cunts.
like they look like they've
That's a really bad word.
Yeah. You just imagine the conversation. Yeah, is that Potter? Is it? Yeah, welcome to West Ham. Come out to us now. We'll look after you. We'll make sure you're okay and that. You know, got a good care plan. You'll be fine on your dentures and everything else and that. Don't know about the hairstyle, but don't know about it when you leave the club. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know about the striker front. Honestly, I really don't. I think the Krug one in the summer. I looked at it and I thought, oh, what's going on here? Do you know what I'm saying? The way you're hunting Duran down for ages and then you just completely change profile, age, everything. That to me feels like a panic buy. It felt like West Ham was trying for Duran. Yeah, and then basically had to change tack. Now, hindsight's a wonderful thing. If we would have got Duran, would we have got Somerville in? Maybe not, because we might not have had the money. But nevertheless, we should be hunting down a striker now. Evan Ferguson at Brighton's been mentioned. I don't think he's a bad player. On a loan deal, like to the end of the season. Now,
Can someone explain to me how we get more loans?
I don't know, Jeff. I don't know. I honestly don't. I just don't know. Is anyone on loan at West Ham currently right now other than Soler?
I think he's the only one, isn't he? Because we bought 9 players and loaned him to make the 10.
Tadebo's on loan.
Oh yeah, Tito. So there's that as well. Yeah, so the two there.
And Soler.
Question here, I've got a real easy answer for that question, Trudge. Roy Hodgson.
I'd rather
have Roy Hodgson than Graham Potter. Honestly, I would.
Neil Warnock.
Yeah. I'd rather have Sam Allardyce back.
Well, if you're going to go to the bottom of the barrel, let's go all the fucking way down to the bottom and grab fucking Neil Warnock out of it.
Well, you were a double manager, didn't you? Roy Hodgson and Neil Warnock. Neil Warnock wheels Hodgson in on a wheelchair, brings him around to the. The problem is that when you think about it, we had 2 forwards that should have been a success here at the club, but Moyes and his system didn't adapt to them players. And we knew full well when they moved on that they suddenly scored goals for fun in the fact of Haller and Skamaka, you know. But if we played 2 up top, we would have seen a different style and we would have seen more goals. And this is the problem. And since then, have we really signed a proper forward? You know, you've got to think the only one, someone just mentioned his name there, and if it weren't for him getting injured and ending his career, Dean Ashton would have been the best forward we would have had in the club, I'd say.
Yeah, I think we had signed good players. Like Canute back in the day was a good striker.
He is a good one as well.
Pasako.
Jeffro, he was underrated. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
very underrated.
I just feel when it comes to that's the only issue that I've got with Steiden to a point is where he's been here for such a Steiden's been here 18 months, and I would have thought he would have nailed down that striker position. But listen, what's happened to Mikel is a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, but we all know in 6 months' time he would have probably left and gone on to do a new adventure somewhere else. Well, obviously, it ain't the case now. I would have assumed when Steiden walked in the door, the first name that would have been mentioned is striker when he won, because we ain't good at picking strikers. And for me to go out and not have a striker, in the ranks who's decent is a bit of a joke. The thing is with Krug, we don't know how good Krug is, so it's hard to slag him off, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We just don't know. So
we saw a glimpse of that when he came off the Leicester game, because we think he got that goal, could have got a second.
Yeah.
And he not being
He's
funny.
had about an hour, hasn't he?
Yeah, but if you look at though, Jeff, the different when you think about it, I think for me, if you look at like Danny Ings, what that bloke needs is to score a goal. He scores a goal, and that it'll take the weight off of his shoulders, and we might see a bit more out of him. But with Krug and that, he might have only played an hour for the club, but at least he's already got one more goal than what Danny Ings has in that respect. He's showed a bit more.
And he got an assist as well.
And that as well. So when you look at it, Budge, he's already got stats.
It's for the hours play.
Ings has scored.
Yeah, I know he
yeah.
scored, but
He
Yeah.
scored
But
4 now, and
looks
he
more.
scored 5.
He looks more clinical at finishing than what Danny Ings does at this point. And that's why I said about looking at yesterday's game, I would have brought Fulkrug on, even for shits and giggles if need be, but he would have more chance of probably putting the ball in the back of the net than what Danny Ings would have done.
I
think
actually
Colin
think
said
he goes in
earlier on
January.
that he would have liked to see Guilherme come on, and
Yes, I know, Colin, yeah.
I think it's a decent shout. Why couldn't he have brought Guilherme on for 10 minutes at the end of that game?
I still don't get this signing. I really don't. Not when I look at the chaos that we've got at the club right now. I know he's a future wonder kid, and I've seen him live once, and I think, yeah, he does look quite a decent player. But when I look at 25 million, and we haven't really got a decent midfielder like amongst us, like it just that one irritates me. Like, it really does, because you know what, we're not even playing him. But what is Luis Guilherme really learning from West Ham at the minute?
Getting splinters in his backside, I say at
Like
this
I say,
stage.
I'll
His
tell
eyes
you
are working.
exactly
That's
what-
about
I'll
it.
tell you exactly what he's learning. He's learning this. You could be the next Cristiano Ronaldo, or the next Messi, or the next, Neymar, or whatever the case may be, right? We're going to keep him at West Ham just in case it happens. That's what he's learning.
Yeah.
we did that with Louisiana, and look how fucking well that worked out.
Yeah. Was it Palista? I think his name was Winston Palista.
Yeah, Paulista.
We've had some
Wellington. That was his name. Fucking Wellington.
Oh, Wellington, yeah. I fancy that a week. Give me a Wellington. I don't know. It does anger you a bit. It's going to be interesting in the January window though, because apparently before everything there was no money, so we're going to find out what we're going to get served up in the January window. And I think it's a big month for Steidon and all.
Interesting comment here. Just leads in quite well to this. Is Make West Ham Great Again says, I wish we still had the Moyes MOT for new players. Some very poor characters signed this summer. Yeah. And if we take in, we spoke about Fulkrug, and then we factor in the fact that doesn't he want to be here, wants to go back to Germany already. Similar story with Rodriguez. Whatever question marks might be thrown at Tadebo's character, if there are any to be answered, it's not looking great, is it?
No, I'm going to be honest. It ain't, not really. When you think about it, I don't really remember punch-ups in the changing room when Moyes was in charge. That's a new one. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, like there would have been moments where there's been rows in there, but not so much like fisticuffs, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get what they were.
Mainly though, Mark Noble was in that changing room during his career. With David Moyes.
I just feel there's no real identity with West Ham at the minute. It just feels like it's a load of players just come together and that's it. Like, do you know what I mean? And the
kind of lost its East End soul.
Yeah, it feels like, how can I put it? When I look at that photo there, even though some of them players were shit in that photo, they was all together. Like, and it feels like that they're not together on this one. It feels like there's a lot of egos in there all of a sudden. And we all know what it's like with an ego at West Ham United. At West Ham United, you have an ego in your ranks, you're going to have problems. Like we had it with like Anderson. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, it's starting off as James said, he's got another window coming up now. He's been here a good while, and actually, the guy who was going to put the club on an even keel and sort all of our problems out, right? There ain't been a lot of problems since he came here. Now, might be coincidence, right? Or it might have something to do with him. I don't know. We all know ultimately Sullivan is the guy at the top who's behind it all. But I'm still not sure to some degree what Steidten does. If he hasn't made the signings that he was brought in to make, and he hasn't identified them, and he's not in charge of that, and he hasn't picked the manager. I don't know if he's just sent off to get players to. He's a closer. He's no more than that.
Yeah, he's a fixer. That's if it is the case. We don't know. Obviously,
If that's the case, but
we hear all
the
these
picture
stories,
that's
don't we?
being painted, that's what he boils down to. As director of football's a really fancy title for someone who's not doing that role at all, right?
Just going and closing every deal.
But he seems to be, when you think about it, as I always
Which he
said
does
before,
brilliantly, by the way.
he does.
You know,
Yeah, he jumps on that jet plane. He's bringing someone back when he gets on that plane. You see that photo. There's always someone coming back with him, and that regardless of what they're like. But yeah, he does close the deal. So no doubt he's one of those that can sell, snow to the Arabs, as they say, and make millions out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm ever going to get down to the bottom of this chat. I'm going to have to miss a few out while they're chatting away.
Yeah, for the people in the chat, thanks for hanging around with us and that. Appreciate all the comments.
Yeah, sorry about the glitch earlier on. My pointer went crazy, so I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, thanks
obviously, harping back
to
to the Antonio thing. Make West Ham great again says can't be sentimental on 90k a week for Antonio, 35 years old, get him fit and send him to the USA or Saudi. I think the thing is, as we said, I don't think he's going to be fit before his contract ends, really.
Yeah.
Ian says, anyone else feel a bit sorry for Loppy? I want him out, but I don't have ill feeling towards him. The board's treatment of him has been a disgrace. Publicly interviewing, etc. So classless as usual. I agree with that. I think he's getting attacked from all angles, and even down to the leaks out the dressing room that are coming, and every detail of what's going on. Stighton using whatever his mouthpieces are. So Sully doing this. I think it's pretty disgraceful, and they should just get rid of him, right? Do the fucking decent thing. Stop manoeuvring around him and making his life intolerable. And just pull the trigger if that's what you're going to do, or get behind him.
Well, I think let him grow. Get a bit of growth on around the old beard and that. Let the old hairpiece go all over the shop, and look tired as fuck, because obviously that worked wonders with Newcastle because we played out of our skins in that game. So if he can go back to that look, we're fine. As soon as you went back to have a clean shave and so forth, we went to shit. So
I do agree with that comment from that gentleman that just put that up. Basically, when you're doing public interviewing and you're saying, "Oh, it's going to be like we've been linked this week," we've been linked with Moyes coming back, which I see the meltdown on that, which is fucking hilarious, right? I had to laugh, right? Because if people are believing that, then they're just mad. Allegri, Potter, Terzic, Conceição, Carrick. Yeah, it's just
I couldn't fit Conceição and Carrick in the thumbnail. It was all getting a bit cluttered.
Yeah, it's like a fucking phone book. I have to get yellow pages out, mate.
Yeah, but easier for you. Just put yellow pages there, mate, or Rotodecks. That's what one of them.
Do you remember that back in the day?
Everybody looking at YouTube would have thought you was having a bit of a Tourette's moment or something.
I know. Like back in the day, the yellow page you'd be flicking through. I need a manager. I have a list of about 500. It's just I don't know. Do I feel sorry for him? Yeah, I do to a point. He's not the right guy. I feel like he's been chucked into this. He wants to. I do feel for Loppy another reason. I think he wants to do well, but I think he's struggling with the way the Premier League is, and it happens. We've seen it before with managers from different countries. I remember it with I think it was Frank de Boer, it was Frank de Boer who went to Crystal Palace, and they was awful and just couldn't do nothing, and that was the end of him. And you have managers who come here for a season and they just can't handle it. And I feel like he wants to try and be successful at West Ham. The problem is he's got the fan base, one of the most hostile fan bases on his back at the minute. The only way he can get us back on side is by winning games and starting to like turn the tide to a point. Until that time, I don't
Well,
think it's going to go well
yeah,
for him.
he's got to deliver the promise,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, we know the
Leads
board
quite
haven't done that
nicely
much,
into
have they?
Howard's
Well, that's
question.
that's why I used that phrase, Tony, because we haven't been delivered the promise that we were promised when
We left
we
the Upton
left
Park.
the Upton Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
haven't
agree on
been
that.
delivered that promise. In fact, we've been subjugated to with tantamount to bloody abuse. At that stadium.
True.
Wading through water just to go and use the toilet is one thing. Being charged well over the odds for food and drink and merchandising and stuff like that. I think we've actually had our arseholes ripped open.
I think what Howard says on that comment is valid. If we win our next two, will you back Loppy? I think it's very hard to not back him if you start seeing something happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'll be honest. I think you're a fucking idiot if he wins 3 in a row and you're not thinking, you know what? Hopefully he's turned a corner. Then it's a bit stupid, isn't it?
It's a good shout because when you think of it, what we're not considering, we're saying about Lopetegui, but Sullivan's obviously appointed this man, and obviously he knows full well eyes on him. So he's also become good because he's employed this fella to do a job.
And that is one of the reasons, Tony. I'll be honest, hand on heart. That's one of the reasons why I don't believe Sullivan's going to sack him. Even if it got to a stage where it was people were right at the point, I just don't see it, because what it is, it will make Sullivan look like he got it wrong.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm alluding to. Is that
yeah. And I
pride.
don't think he'll do that. Yeah, and his pride, his ego, he's like, And the thing is with Steiden, I always thought that if this goes wrong,
remember,
Sullivan...
14th's enough as well.
Yeah. What is this? Yeah. There is that, yeah. But Joe, what?
We were talking about Sullivan.
Yeah, but Joe, what's fascinating? What happens, just for argument's sake, I know we've got Villa, and it's a tough game, don't get me wrong. But if West Ham did manage to get past Villa and go on a cup run, people's attitudes would hopefully change. Right? Mine would change if we went on a cup run, but it just feels very bleak at the minute. And for me, I do feel sorry for Lopetegui. I do.
The only thing that worries me, though, is if we get past Villa, we've got Liverpool away.
Guaranteed. Much.
So, that's the one thing that does worry me.
Yeah.
But, Villa and us are the only two in this round that have drawn Premier League opposition. We're playing each other. Everyone else.
They got Man United, Arsenal, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yes, yeah.
Yeah, Man United, Arsenal, and also,
Oh, yeah, sorry. It was only one of two all Premier League ties. That's it, yeah.
The thing is, it's just...
I think that there is, there's something to be said for a good cup run, because it does make you feel good. I must admit. We've not at the moment. Nothing has been better for any of us as West Ham fans than the Europa Conference League run. That was incredible for every one of us. So we've got to better that now. Really, if we're going to do that, we've got to better that. We've got to win the FA Cup, or we've got to go and qualify for the Europa Cup again, and then we've got to go and win that to better that. How long that's going to take, who knows? It took us 43 years, was it?
43 years.
When Lopetegui was appointed in the summer, we all did our what do we think is acceptable next year and what are our expectations.
Yeah.
I said that I thought that he would probably have to finish at least 9th because of the way that the fan base was, and that's what Moyes achieved, and it wasn't good enough, right? But my expectations were that we'd probably finish somewhere around 12th, and that if we finished 12th and won a cup, I'd actually be happy with that, right?
I think everyone was.
I still hold that. Like, if we finish 12th and win, the difference is I have diminishing belief in the idea of even a cup run, never mind winning one at the moment.
What it is. When we done it at the start of the season, me and the boys on E20, yeah, my words were West Ham have to be looking to finish in the top 10. West Ham finish 10th, I can accept that. New season, new manager, integrating players in. The way the league is currently right now, I'm mad what I'm about to say, but it could be done. Like if we get back to back results and we start, say we win like 2-3 games on the trot, it's a completely different ball game then. Because things like West Ham win a game, lose a game, draw a game, and then we're back to struggling again, and then we win a game and it's like repeat. I think you've only got to get a few results together, and it's a completely different scenario, right? Really.
I mean, but with the current culture of the club, though, James, do you not also think that not having Antonio available might be detrimental to the results that we're going to get?
I don't know, mate. Really, if I'm honest, it might. It could go another way. It could GM up. It could go
That's
another way.
the way I look at it as well. I think you saw how the players reacted yesterday in that when they scored them goals and that, what it meant to show Antonio, like we love you, brother, you're one of us, and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's the mentality I think they'd like to carry into the next game and the next game after that.
But I'm not being funny or anything, but as much as we all love Mikel Antonio, using him for motivation to win games is going to run very thin very quickly.
Well, of course.
Oh yeah, agree. Yeah,
of course. I think the main thing is, once you get a result under the belt, and I go with what James just said earlier, and I've always said I call it the Lopetegui algorithm. That win-loss. We can't survive on that scenario.
No.
Yeah.
But if we can get a back-to-back win straight away, that lifts your confidence up.
Yes,
you see a different atmosphere with the players. You see a better kind of work ethic in the training sessions, which then you like to see translate onto the pitch. And then from there, we start seeing a bit more style of play. We see a bit more identity, and we can then start, progressing as a.
But would you say though, Tone? Would you say that the style of play is better though now, even though it ain't right, and the midfield shit, and we got fullbacks bombing on, and we're out of position? Would you say that we look more better now than last season?
No, in that respects, I'll be honest with you. The reason why I say that is because the fact that he keeps changing this team week in, week out.
I agree with him this, yeah.
When you look at this side of things, that's where we've been struggling.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think the one thing that Lopetegui hadn't adjusted to was, and Budgie's mentioned it before, because we do the counter with Moyes, unfortunately, the player's mindset is still that kind of way, yet his way is something completely different. But to say the last couple of games, there has been a slight difference. I think Lopetegui himself has learnt from this. He's either looked back at last season's videos and realised how we used to play, because there has been a slight difference. I still feel there's no identity in what the formation is or the style of football, but there is a slight and a very optimistic window that we're seeing some change.
Do you think that changes in the January window, though? Because if West Ham are ambitious, and we've seen it so many times over the years, right, over the last, say, 3-4 years, especially when Moyes was here, if we are, let's say, 14th, but we're only sort of 6 points off of 6, because this league's quite tight at the minute, like it really is. I would expect them to go out and go, right, let's fire some money at this and sort out that midfield, get a centre forward at the club. It's very hard to go and pinpoint a centre forward right now.
Yeah, because we'll end up with somebody like Sterling on loan.
Great signing. Yeah, well,
I think into answer to what you just said there, I think that what you're looking at is this: the two scenarios, the one that could have been and the one we are at now.
Yeah.
If Antonio wasn't injured, then we'll get the same old rinse and repeat. Well, we did try to buy these players, but unfortunately, we just couldn't get it over the line. Now Antonio's injured, I think it forces the club to sit up and think, because as we know, Fulkrug and Ings, they're not exactly the youngest of players. If one of them gets injured, we're then relying on one person. So we need a backup somewhere along the line. So I think it forces the club to get someone in. Yeah.
Well, he's got a knock,
you may have seen,
yeah,
and this is the thing, you know.
Fulkrug's just back from his Achilles injury. How long are either of them going to? Maybe they both last till the end of the season, but they could be both out in the next 2 games as well. That's how fragile we are.
Yeah, exactly. I agree on that.
Darren's asking, we obviously need a new striker in January, and we're kind of talking about it now. And he's saying he's heard we might get Evan Ferguson on loan. And who would we like to get? Well, we sort of spoke about the question marks for me is how do we get another loan player? We're allowed 4 loans a season, right? And only 2 at any one time. And we have those 2 loans. So we could make Tadebo's loan permanent, right?
If he wanted it.
But that costs 35 million quid, right?
Yeah, but there's no Premier League loans in that though, is there? They're foreign loans. So Premier League one, I think we're free to do.
So you could
do that.
So we can do that.
Yeah, we can do that. Well, it is. I think it's 4 loans altogether.
Yeah,
and I think it's 2. If
only 2 at any one time is the rule says.
I think it's 2 European and 2 domestic. I think.
Okay.
Well, I might have that wrong, but
in which case that would explain some of the people when they're talking about loans, because I've been hearing some of this stuff and it's been a question mark in the back of my head, and I'm thinking, I don't know if we can do that.
Maybe because look at the Antonio situation. It could be the fact that the Premier League, say as a compensation side of things, we'll allow this one, maybe just 1 extra.
What happens if another player? What happens if another club loses a player for a season through injury? Then they say, "Oh yeah, you've lost a player out of your squad. You can have a special dispensation because you've lost your happens all the. I know the exceptional circumstances, but in terms of the Premier League, they're saying you've got a player that's not available to you through injury, right?
I suppose you got to be
Don't know if they make a special rule or not.
Possibly. I mean, I suppose in that respect, Jeff, they've got to be fair and true, haven't they? If they do it for one, they've got to do it for all.
Yeah.
Wasn't Ibrahimovic one of those kinds of signings?
Yeah.
And United. Didn't he come in as a special dispensation signing?
I think it was.
What were the circumstances of that?
Yeah. Mm.
I'm gonna have to find out what Ivan Tony's up to. Sadly, get him over here. I mean, he's the guy.
Get on the blower.
Yeah, get on the blower. Ivan, do you fancy it?
Or Colton Cole. Get hold of him.
Yeah.
Get him back.
Any of them will do. Like, we need someone, don't we? So.
Get him in a pair of boots.
I was just sitting here thinking, who's a centre forward who could come to the club in sort of January window, especially in the Premier League? Because usually there's like players out there. Like when we signed Jesse Lingard, that was a good one. Do you know what? I might be mad what I'm about to say, but I'd even put a little cheeky loan bid in for Rashford. Like I really would. I would try and go for that, and see if they, because obviously he's not having a great time now.
Quite a lot of baggage with him, though. To be fair, James.
Well, we know a guy.
Lingard, right?
Yeah, we know a guy who had a lot of baggage and dance moves, and he danced around Stratford. So who knows? Who knows? Like, I'm glad we're not scouts. That's what I'm going to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know if I'm going to make it down to the bottom of the chat, but we've been on like nearly 2.5 hours now, so I really am going to have to call it for this evening. And
no worries, Jeff.
I thank you guys for coming on and joining me and making it a good show. And thanks to everyone in the chat for joining me. And if I haven't got to your comment, do apologise. And I'll try and catch up with you all next week. There was someone asking for the channel details out there in the chat earlier. So if everyone wants to shout out their channel and anyone wants to go and visit and give them a sub and a like on their channel, carry on, guys, and I'll let you say good evening and I'll wrap it up.
Go on, James. You might as well go first, mate. You're first round. around the table.
Don't worry about coming to me. I'm fine. You know I am. Do you know what I mean? I'm fine, mate. I've got my crew. I'm good. So each one his own TV. There you go.
Well done, mate. I'll go next week. So you can always find me here on a Tuesday night. Well, not always, but most Tuesdays. You can find me every Thursday on Early Doors Football. Wrong way. That way. Early Doors Football TV. On a Thursday night at 8 o'clock, we do that. On a Wednesday night, I do at about 10 o'clock, we do the Old School Hammers, Kieran and I on West Ham Network. And occasionally we're putting stuff out on Green Street Elite's my own channel. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Jeff, as they say. Two Jeffs. So Early Doors Football TV, you can find me tomorrow night with the Arsenal guy and the Man United guy who's crying into his chocolate milk on the good, the bad and the ugly. As Budgie said, Thursday, we've got the West Ham review. James has been on. Jeff, he's still waiting for you to come in, son. We need your input in there as well. And Budgie's going to be doing on Green Street Elites tomorrow night, which I recommended, is George Parish. So that should be good to see that one. And then back on the Sunday night is the Sunday Night Takeaway show. And you'll find me coming on to Jeff's channel every now and then. And also I popped it in the James channel a few times when he's in more of complimenting happier moods.
Anyone's welcome on E20, mate. I have them all on. You know,
I don't know, mate. When I see you renting the road, I thought, so, nah, fuck that shit. I ain't coming on with that.
so listen, mate. I'm as placid as they come, but Sullivan fucking winds me up. And that's what I'm going to say. But
you scare me when you're angry, James. That's what
listen, mate. I come bearing gifts. I'm getting rid of mugs for Christmas. You know what I mean? So there you go. Anyone wants a mug? I'm your guy. Do you know? You know what I mean? Mugs away. So yeah, you know what I mean? All are welcome at E20's own TV. That's what I say.
Right, okay, guys. Well, that's me. I'd like to thank you for coming on. Hopefully, you could join me again next week, some week soon. You're always welcome. And once again, thanks to everyone in the chat. And until next week, come on, you irons.
Come on, boys.
Come on.